There we go.
Yeah, man, and it's so funny too because when when I first got onto the call, I don't know, you guys kept it moving, you guys didn't even acknowledge that I was muted either, yeah,
Well,
that's what made me believe that I was you guys you guys didn't say
when
anything.
you popped in, I saw the mute, but then I looked away to play 14, so I just assumed that you eventually turn it off. But
And usually you join and you're usually setting up or something, and then you join in and you're like, oh, hey guys, I was doing this. So I was like, he's not there yet. He just joined, but he's not there, you know?
Right.
So you weren't there at all, even though you were muted for me. I was just like, yeah, this man's just busy.
Yeah.
but are you doing all right though? The food poisoning, all that stuff, and it probably sucked ass.
Oh,
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
true.
I'm all good, man. Thanks for asking.
What was it, man? Bad sushi or some shit?
Fucking Japanese food.
Oh, man, why is it... Dude,
Second time that happened
just
too.
me acknowledging this has been the case for me. Anytime I get food poisoning, it's always Asian food.
Yeah, I can't stay away from it though.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
So wait, was it the same? Was the same place?
Uh, yeah. I messed up, man. I hadn't gone there in years, and then
Where at?
Sarku, Japan.
Bro, my sister, that's where me and my sister got the food poisoning, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, no, my dad literally just got the food yesterday from there.
Bro,
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
heard,
sketchy.
this was in high school. Yeah, no, I heard rumors in high school that
Rumors.
apparently yeah, years ago. This is why, I don't eat there anymore. Not because of that, but because there's better places in my mind.
Yeah.
They had, rats running around, the fucking countertop, once
Hey,
and shit.
yo.
Yikes.
This shit people said back then.
I saw this one meme that it was the rats jumping in the in the fryers at KFC, and it was like this guy jumping off of a diving board at a pool. It's so funny.
That's how Sark could be.
Yeah, I guess so.
So you
Okay.
ate rat.
Yeah, pretty much. All right,
Ready.
so we are live. We are going to Macho. You got this tweeted out?
Yeah, just posted up right now.
Cool.
Let me retweet that.
Okay, I think we can probably get started.
Yeah, number 24, man.
Yeah.
Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. The only thing you don't want in your Burger King burger is someone else's food fungus. But unfortunately, that's what you get.
Yeah. Let me actually listen back to the podcast real quick to make sure we're good.
Okay, yo, I love that guy's video. there's
It's so random.
I don't know what number it is, but it's number 11. The horror stories coming out from these two kids who were playing Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Pronunciation is so bad. Oh,
Yeah.
We're good on audio, by the way.
Okay,
We're good.
cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, I've started following him on YouTube now, and he's just doing these random horror story videos. It's so funny.
Oh my! Horror story number 5.
Yeah.
The kid in the well.
It's so funny.
That dude's funny. It's I don't know if it's intentional or not, but he sounds odd.
Okay.
Man.
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome back to the 24th episode of the DualShock Sense Podcast. I am your host, Soul, the connoisseur of anime waifus, back like I never left. With me, as always, I got my two co-hosts, Macho. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, doing good. What's going on, everybody? It's the King of Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy fanatic again for the 24th episode. I'm happy to have you back, Jay. It's been a little bit, huh?
Yeah, man, I got some smoke for you guys, man. Y'all gotta get this work, man. So
Pause.
Hey, not like that. Hey, chill.
No, we're happy to have you back, man. It's good. I'm excited for this episode.
For sure. Walt, how you doing, man?
Doing good, y'all. It was me. Now Jay, we happen to frequent the same spots, you know.
Yeah,
I get
man.
it. Jay can hold himself.
Hey,
but, you know.
hey. Come on, man.
Hey,
You're
yo.
leaving your nasty germs all over the place, man. That's what got me, man. That's what got me.
Oh no. Yeah, we're doing good, man. We're almost at the quarter of episodes, almost at 25.
Yeah.
We're almost old enough to have a car under our name. What is it? I don't know. There's something.
We're almost off our parents' insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Isn't that 24 though?
Nah,
I
25.
think it's 26.
I think it's 25, isn't it?
Gotcha. Is it?
I think.
I think I got off of mine at 26, but it could be just because of like birth dates and like how that works and stuff like that. It's
It
weird.
could be, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, man. Ready to talk games and our games specifically. You know?
Yes, sir. As always, guys, I want to remind you, go ahead and like the podcast, man. Consider subscribing. We would greatly appreciate that. Definitely helps us out. Man, this is, I feel like this is gonna be a rough podcast, man. There's not a lot to talk about, but we're gonna make it work, man. We're gonna make it work. So as always, we're gonna begin the podcast talking about the games that we've been playing this week. It's funny because I was about to come in here, all depressed, crying, being like, "Oh man, there's nothing to play." Ever since Ratchet and Clank, you know, I was really, you know, looking at Kena to be that next title, be like, okay, like that's the next big game for me. Now that got delayed, I've been grasping at straws, man. Like nothing has really been working for me. Like even Grease, man. Like that, I literally have like an hour left in that game, and like I can't for whatever reason like finish it. Like I just don't have the motivation to do it. RE2 as well. Like I just don't have the motivation to play that game either. Like nothing is really clicking for me right now. Like I just feel like I'm in that weird like annual gaming funk right now, where nothing is just really speaking to me, and it doesn't help that literally after Ratchet and Clank, nothing has really been coming out. Really, nothing is going to be like of worth is going to come out until Kena, for me at least. But then something weird happened where last night I put in Dying Light. I was like, yeah, I just want to put this game in and for the podcast, just have it in the background or whatever. I started playing about like an hour. Well, yeah, I wanted to get through at least like the introduction of the game, just so we could get to a little bit more interesting stuff for the podcast. And then before I knew it, I was playing the game for like 2 hours. I forgot how much I really love this game, and how like it doesn't get talked about enough, and like this honestly is like one of my favorite games of like last generation, like easily like top like 15 out of all last generation. It's a really, really fun game. And again, it's like one of those games, like you guys know me, like I'm not really the biggest on horror. Like that's probably one of the reasons why RE2 is so hard for me to get through. But Dying Light, man, I think just like the sheer amount of fun that I had with it just kept pushing me along despite the horror, and despite me being terrified like around every corner. Like it's just so fun to play that like I just didn't care about the scares and the monsters and whatever. Because it's just so fun to get through. So yeah, I don't know if I'll replay the entire game, but man, it's just been a blast. Just just hopping in here and running around and killing zombies and whatnot for a little bit. I don't know.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you get to, when you played it back then, Did you get to play the DLC?
I haven't. I fully like 100% in the game, like in terms of like the story content and whatever, but I never touched the DLC.
The following? Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Well, do you think this would get you to play that if you get invested enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think I should definitely go back to my other save profile and just do that for sure.
Nice,
But
nice,
then,
man.
but
I'm actually trying to get like some people to play that game. Nice.
yeah, and like this really just like reaffirmed like and reminded me that like, oh yeah, like Dying Light 2 is like probably my most anticipated game like this year. And I have no doubt that like once I once Battlefield specifically and Dying Light 2 comes out, that I'll probably like get out of this little funk for sure. Like those are the two titles that like I absolutely cannot wait for.
You're playing Battlefield? You're gonna be playing Battlefield?
Oh yeah, I love Battlefield.
Oh, bro. Oh, the front door. I I also play oh shit. Well, it's been a while since I've actually like played like a first-person shooter with someone else. I mean, I'd be down to a couple matches when that comes out. And Macho, if you're down, I mean, I don't know if you're a big Battlefield guy though.
Not quite, but I mean, it looks interesting enough. So like, if it ends up, if it has good reviews and you guys say like it's really good, then I'll definitely consider it just to jump on a couple matches with you guys every night, every other night or something.
Cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I just forewarned, like I haven't like delved deep into the first person shooter since Call of Duty Black Ops 1, so
Yeah. So you're fine. You haven't missed much.
so it's been a hot minute, man. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, no, it'll feel like nothing changed because after Black Ops 1, for me, it's like white noise. It's like nothing really clicked as well as that did.
Yeah,
Except maybe
yeah.
Black Ops 2. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Black Ops 1 for me was just like, that was like my go-to like for a long time, especially with friends. So, but after that, it just died off because everything just didn't really appeal to me. So, but Battlefield, it looks really cool. So, hopefully it ends up being good.
And Jay, so you're not. What do you think? Since I didn't know you were a fan of Dying Light, I want to ask you: do you like the whole idea of at night where enemies become much more hostile and they become like at least in this Dying Light, how you have the volatiles and these different kinds of like action sequences at night? Do you like that idea, or do you prefer like one constant state of like zombie aggressiveness?
Even though I hate it because it's more scary. It's pretty cool because it adds weight and like actual consequence because it's like, okay, avoid night at all costs, unless you're crazy, of course, right?
Yeah, and for the second one, I think you're encouraged if you want the good loot, or something like that.
For sure. But yeah, it makes it definitely makes it more intense. Like I was playing on my like really leveled up account or save or whatever, and just running around the old town, just parkouring and just trying to get like the feel for things again. And before I knew it, like I was just exploring, running around, killing zombies, and then it turned into night, and I remember like, oh shit, the volatiles. so then I started like hauling ass all the way back to the safe house. But yeah, it definitely has like, it makes you kind of like you need to be aware of the timing and how far away you are from a safe house and whatnot, and I kind of like that.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
for game mechanic, it's not anything new when it comes to like having tougher enemies in a certain time of the day. But for a zombie game, and to do it like that, it was, I would say, like it's one of the most memorable things out of last gen for sure. Like it's Dying Light for me is one of those games where I just absolutely thought the story was dreadful, but the gameplay was just incredible to the point where I ended up finishing it because it was so much fun.
Yeah. I got a big beef with this game because it did that cardinal sin of like Assassin's Creed Unity did with Elise, that it just like fucking kills her like towards the end, and it killed Jade in this game, like towards the end as well. I fucking turned her into a zombie, and I was like, come on, man.
And listen, man, if it wasn't because the story like doesn't have any other redeeming qualities to it than like some of the characters, that death would have served as such a great like, oh, it's on. Like you really now really have to kill Rise or something. But it's like she was the only redeeming quality of like the whole story for me. She was the only reason why I kept playing because she was so interesting.
Yeah, she was.
Which
cool.
is why Dying Light 2 sounds so cool because there's not only one group of people. There's different factions. There's different people you can meet. Apparently, I don't know how much the difference in. They're saying it's going to be quite heavy. The differences in depending on which faction you align with. I'm excited for that one, but with this one, man, I don't play the story. Like the main story anymore because it feels like such a slog after playing the following. And the DLC in and out of itself is a bit more interesting because you're facing with much more, I guess, bigger picture things and much more interesting ideas, I guess. Plus you have a little doom buggy or whatever, like a little cart you can run zombies over with. It's fun. But yeah, Dying Light proper, the base game, it's tough. I skip every scene, every cutscene. If I have to play through it, I skip everything. It's
man.
Even except that one section where she gets turned because that still hits so hard, and I want to feel something during that game.
I want to feel something.
Except aside from adrenaline.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's this one mission in the game that you do with Jade. It's like in a school. And I remember that mission being so cool because like you're like working alongside her, killing zombies in this abandoned school, and the music that plays in this mission, I still listen to it in like through the Bluetooth in my car some days because it's like this really funky, like little jam, and it's just so because it's like not what you expect from like a zombie game, you know what I mean? Like you expect like, I don't know, like dark, like Last of Us music, but no, Dying Light is just like this little funky little tune when you're in this abandoned school, and it's so good, man.
Nice. Yeah, I remember school sections for that. Yeah, I don't remember that mission. I need to check it out because I need more Dying Light, man. I'm trying to get a group of friends to play it. One of them said yes because that game has I think 3 or 4 player co-op, which is super fun.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
You might not have long to wait because we got Dying Light 2 December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
hopefully that's good. I'm rooting for Techland on that one.
Same.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Oh,
But yeah, man, that's been it for me.
Okay.
I'm really
Nice.
I'm hoping, and I think it will. I think I'll probably play a lot of this game because I'm really enjoying it. Just kicking this fucking zombie around. So Macho, what you been playing, man?
I've been going through kind of a smorgasbord of games, man. I'm still trying to like hit my one game for like for different days. So like my Final Fantasy Fridays and all that jazz. But I think it's been a long week. Well, was it like the past week where we kind of just beasted in Dark Souls 3?
Last weekend, Jay, we beat both DLCs in one night.
Yeah.
That was insane.
It was awesome, dude.
It was amazing.
Awesome.
Dude, reliving those DLCs.
How was Sister Freed and Father whatever?
Dude,
Yeah,
I was
Macho, how was that?
freaking the fuck out, dude. It was so cool. I was so giddy in my chair just seeing everything happen, and then Walt was like, watch this. And then like Lady Free just does like her final form and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, this is so sick.
I was like, Macho, come here. Because it was by her body after the second phase. And it's like, okay, Macho, step back a bit. And we're just waiting. And she just stands up with a black flame. And I'm like, Macho, now this is the fight. Oh, man. And like, here's the thing. We did both worlds, right? We did his world and my world for different bosses. For this world, for the DLC, we only did his world because I had already beaten mine and the save file I was doing. So his world would usually be the easier boss, and then in my world would be the actual challenge because I was in like New Game Plus 5 or something. So in the DLC, it was just base game for him. Even though that was the case, for some reason, not Ashes of Ariandel, Ring fucking City, the final boss, that thing actually was a challenge. But I don't know, Jay, did you play the Ring City?
It took us like 4 or 5 tries to beat the final boss.
Yeah, and that was too much for our run.
The Slave Knight or whatever?
Yeah, Gale, yeah. The Slave Knight. Dude,
How did you guys do against the dragon?
we haven't, that's the thing.
We haven't, that's an optional boss from what Walt was saying.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
what we did we blasted through kind of like the main story of the DLCs, and I think we did all of Ashes and Ariandel, which was
So
awesome.
we did all of Ashes, we did the wolf and the Sister Freed and her 3 forms. And with Ring City we did, which I think it's one of the highlights for me, at least in our playthrough, when we faced the demon twins, the twin princes, the demon bat things, the demon prince, which is the final form. Because I was telling Macho during the fight, okay, depending on who you kill first, the other one absorbs their power. And as soon as we killed one, in my mind I was like, why isn't he doing anything different? And we kill him, and it's like, I guess he didn't do anything. He fucking stands up, a big explosion happens, and then Demon Prince appears, and it's like, oh, fuck, Macho, I forgot about this. I forgot there's a second form. Dude, so epic. That's one of the things Macho tweeted, that image of him seeing the Demon Prince standing up. That was so epic, man. That weekend was crazy. That, man, and we were saying, I don't know, did you mention you didn't play the DLC, Jay? Did you play the DLC?
No, I didn't. I
Dude,
saw
Macho, you would enjoy it so much.
I saw Sister Freed and said, I'm okay.
It's he got scared.
Yeah.
He was shaking in his boots.
I ain't afraid to admit it, man.
Oh,
You know,
man.
I had a chill go down my spine when I saw Sister Freed, and I was like, this is insane.
Part of being a man is admitting when you're scared, man.
You're right. Hey, man,
Dude,
the thing,
it's so epic, man. Like, seriously, like it was such a fun night just going through those 2. I didn't expect to go through like both the DLCs, but we did, and it was just like, it was so epic.
and here's the thing, man. I think the reason why, at least Macho and I had a much easier time with some bosses, it's because realistically we were tackling it co-op. So having 2 people, ganging up on a boss, it's much easier than one person reading the patterns and like possibly dying over and over. So and I was telling Macho that if you ever desire to like tackle those DLCs, we're down to like go 3-man on it, and like go triple on these bosses if you ever want to.
Okay. I'll think about it.
Yeah, man, it's worth it. But yeah, on top of Dark Souls 3, I've been kind of just making my way slowly but surely through the great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which it's gonna definitely be one of my contenders for Game of the Year. Just like how much it's enveloping me with its. Just like the characters and the music and just it reminds me of playing the original Ace Attorney trilogy, but with all these different characters and they're just as likable and fun, and the crazy situation that they get placed in. It's
nice.
it's a winner. It's a winner for sure.
For a contender of Game of the Year, that makes me even more intrigued in playing it. Like, that's nice.
Yeah, dude. It's again, it's just like it has like such a feel good nature about it, despite it being about murder and like solving these mysteries against corrupt people and stuff like that. But no, it's just a ton of fun overall. It definitely has like the identity of the Ace Attorney series that for me at least was missing with Ace Attorney 4 and 5. So I'm really happy to see that this is taking like a different spin with the series, basing it on like the 18th or the 19th and 20th century, and kind of just taking that formula and going ham with it. So it's a lot of fun.
Nice,
Nice,
man.
nice.
Yeah, but one game that I have been playing, and I've been meaning to talk about. I've been
Oh boy.
really can't wait to actually discuss this with you. It might be a little discussion here. I've been playing The Last of Us Part Two,
Ooh.
and
Ooh.
Kind of
man,
scared.
this game, dude, this game. Um, where do I even begin, man? Where do I even begin with this one? So I started
careful,
playing
Macho.
Sunday, and I had to say the first 8 to 9 hours, I was very confounded with what I was playing. I was very like I didn't know what to feel about it.
Hmm.
Despite that, the game was just absolutely gorgeous, and it's absolutely like the gold standard for how video games can look in as far as like presentation and gameplay and overall polish. Like it's incredible what Naughty Dog, like they crunch their asses off making this game, dude.
Sadly.
It's
Sadly,
it's
yeah.
it's apparent like how much like this game is like polished and the voice acting and everything else. Like I can't say much about the presentation of it. Along with
Yeah.
the gameplay to a degree, it's improved, but it's like it's not like
Yeah, it's still the
you
same
know.
formula, just feels better.
Yeah, exactly. With a couple of nice added additions and quality
Yeah.
of life features, which is
Proning.
nice.
Proning's huge. That's new.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but man, that story. Uh, I had like I have a really weird relationship with this game because when it was revealed, obviously I was very hyped about it because I love The Last of Us One. But when it came to like the reveal up to, the actual when it released, it was very rocky, and it was just all over the place for me. Well, remember last week how we're talking about how like your friend Rebellion, how he's saying like there's certain games that when they get delayed too much, it kind of ruins the hype.
Yeah.
I told you that there's this one game that I couldn't think of that reminded me of that, and that game was The Last of Us Part Two, where it got delayed, and then it got indefinitely delayed, and then the leaks happened, and then just all of a sudden got its release date. Like it got to that point where I was like, all right, I lost complete interest on top of getting spoiled on Twitter and
Yeah. It was
diving
definitely
into the spoilers.
it was definitely
Yeah, it
a
definitely was.
exhausting like pre-release.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I
That's
agree.
that's the best way to put it. Yeah, yeah. It was definitely. So, but despite knowing like the spoilers stuff like that, I still had interest in playing it because the gameplay just looked incredible, and I was like, "There's no way." As a gamer, and I'm curious about this game. There's no way I'm not going to play it. I eventually just have to play it.
Gamer.
So, playing it now, and then just the story, man. It's just like it's a slow build up, which is it's fine because it's setting in its characters and everything like that, but. It just wasn't grabbing me, and to the point where I was just like, what's the point of me doing like going on this revenge mission with Ellie? Like, I was losing a bit of sight of that, and that like I wasn't connecting to the Ellie that I wanted to connect to, because was seeming so stubborn and stupid, and I don't really like Dina. I think she's a homewrecker. I don't like her.
Oh
I'm
man.
I'm not a fan of Jesse either.
What? The boy Jesse?
I'm not a fan of Jesse at
Oh
all. I think
man.
he's pretty stale to me. But then I got to so I finished Ellie's part, and I actually got to the part where you play as Abby.
The Queen? Okay,
And
gotcha.
yeah, so I got to the part. I just stopped at that part. So Seattle, where is like the flashback for her. And the point where like I finally like, all right, something clicked for me was when the event happened with Nora and her and Ellie coming back to the theater and kind of like having like that moment of like that moment of reflection of like, what am I doing? That's
Yeah.
when I was like, okay, now I'm getting more interested. Now I'm actually a little hooked in now.
The
Yeah.
But
game takes its time to respectfully like introduce you to all the elements that will later feel like they were a part of a much bigger thing. For instance, like people like Dina, the situation with Nora, all these, characters that otherwise would feel like, what's the point of having them? You don't even know them. This being a sequel and all, but then
right, yeah,
the Nora thing happens, and you're like, oh shit, she mattered to someone, and you, even if it didn't matter to you, it challenges you to like consider that. Consider that at some point Abby's gonna find out. It's like all of these things. It's a huge domino that was just pushed, and there wasn't even a line of dominoes. It's just a never like falling domino that's eventually gonna hit the ground. And for me, at least, the whole Dina and Jesse thing, I can see it with Jesse. I can see how people might not like connect with Jesse because he can come off as like pretty bland or whatever. I like them personally, but with Dina, I mean, do you not like her because of the fact that you think she's a homewrecker, or is she like an unappealing character overall?
She's just an unappealing character. It's like, for me, it's just like I can't buy into the fact that like she loves Ellie.
Why?
You know,
Why not?
Because I just don't feel like it's genuine. I just don't. Like it's just like their interactions for me. It's just like it just feels like they're more like very like flirty friends than anything. And even with that moment where Ellie is like singing to her and like they kind of have like that heart to heart moment, I was like, oh, that's nice. But like afterward, I'm just like, I just don't buy it, man. I really don't. I just don't feel the chemistry between.
Okay.
those two.
So, I'm not really. I'm not gonna slander you or push back too much because you gotta finish the game obviously and see the totality of their relationship.
Yeah, that's why I asked to see what the reasons were, but I'm not gonna add more because I mean, you just finished Ellie's section, and I mean the game is far from over, so
I will say that gameplay wise, and I guess even like story wise too, but like without a doubt, like some of the best moments happen in Abby's section. So I'm really excited to see what you
agree.
What you think about with that second half of the game.
Okay. See, that I like to hear that because when I was playing Ellie's section, it was very much a recycle of
Sure.
kind of like her style of gameplay.
Sure, it's definitely that. It's almost, I don't want to say like treading the same water or whatever, but it definitely feels like the tried and true, like you've been here, done that sort of gameplay.
Yeah.
It feels very familiar. And it's not like Abby's section is like revolutionary or it completely like flips the game on its head. But what I'm saying is that some really cool I guess the locations that you go to specifically, it's like it really does a lot of like world building for like just like the overall lore in the world of The Last of Us, and more so like the factions and stuff like that. And you get some of the more like fun weapons as Abby as well. So yeah, her section, there's a lot of great stuff in that second half of the game. Which again,
okay, good.
But again, is like I don't understand how people, like, sure, you can have your gripes with the story and whatnot, but the people who say that, oh, this is a bad game, right? It's a horrible game or whatever. I'm like, you are factually wrong, man. The way that this game plays is absolutely fucking sublime, man. This is like through and through. This is a well-made game. Like you can't say that this is like, I love Returnal, but you can't say that this game is broken like Returnal was, right? Or how some of these other games release. Like for me at least,
right,
this game is so well made, man. And whenever I hear people saying that this is a bad game, I just cannot. I cannot. Like in the gameplay department, this game is absolutely fucking sublime, and it just feels so fun to play. Like specifically, the Hillcrest level as Ellie, I could run through that mission like for hours, man. It's so fun, just kind of like, on the fly, kind of deciding like, okay, like how do I want to like I want to tackle this thing stealthily, right? Like I don't want to alert anybody. I don't want this to be a whole guns blazing gunfight. Like I just want to stay prone, sneak my way through this, pick off people one by one, use my arrow, use my knife. How do I get these dogs? I love that, you have all of these, open houses that you can kind of step into and jump out of like seamlessly. Like it just really feels like almost Hitman in a way, in a weird way, or Dishonored, where it really is this intricate little, put together playground, and you really just kind of forge your own path through it to kind of decide how best to pick apart all the people within this little playground. And yeah, I'm like, how did you feel specifically about like the gameplay? Like, I'm curious, like how are you playing this game? Because like I like I'm there's like two ways in my mind, at least. Like there's a bunch of videos, almost like this like subculture of people who are playing this game in like a John Wick style, and there's all these like compilations on YouTube that I recommend you guys to watch, because it's absolutely fucking beautiful how people are just going in here, just guns blazing, just blowing off limbs, doing all these insane kills, these ways to kill enemies that I didn't even know you could possibly do. Just like air assassinations that I didn't know about until after I finished the game. And then of course there's like the stealth way, which is primarily what I did when I was playing the game. So I'm curious, like how are you approaching the gameplay, and how do you feel about it overall?
It depends on who I'm facing. Because if I'm facing against the cordyceps, like zombies, then I'll be a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that I want to get the clickers out of the way, because obviously they can kill Ellie pretty easily.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the humans in this game, like the actual human AI, they're smart as fuck.
Oh yeah.
So
I love that.
I go stealthy as I can until like shit pops off.
Yeah.
So like but the thing is, you have a great point when it comes to just like giving you like this playground, because I love. Like, I kind of love the chase a little bit, so, like, if I pop off, like, a shotgun on one person, they're like, oh my god, Chris is dead! And then I just run off, and then I go through, like, these little small crevices by pressing X and the analog stick, and trying just, like, finding, like, a grass or, like, a small spot for me to hide for a little bit until, like, I want to be seen again. It's a ton of fun. And I didn't really feel it click, like, as far as, like, the game, because when I went through Seattle's Days 1 and 2, it was a little slow in the sense of like every time I got like a mob of enemies, I would dish them out really quickly, and it would feel a little unsatisfying.
No.
But once you got to day 3 and you're actually facing against the scars, that's when it kicked off. When I was just like, oh, I have to be careful. I have to be really careful, because these dudes will gang up on you, and they're really smart. And then like on top of that, the WLF members after that got smarter, along with like the like grouping everybody and everything like that. And then oh my god, like you said, the Hillcrest level was just incredible. That was I was with my fiance during that. She was watching. She's like, I love watching people play games, and this was one of those games where she was just watching me play because it was so intense, and like I was popping people's heads off and blowing people's eyes in half. I was like, oh my god, like this is insane.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like even yeah, you should zoom in on like some of the faces too, or even like when you do like knife kills, like specifically in the throat, and you can see like the blood squirting out as well. Like it's easily like the most like visceral game that I've ever played, I feel like.
Absolutely, yeah. Which I will mention actually, Vita Girl, right? That one scene, everybody knows about that one scene. I tried shooting the Vita. You can't kill the Vita. It never dies. It never will die.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But back to that point, like the visceral kills, real quick, is just it's one of those things that like, while gameplay wise, like you said, it is absolutely sublime, and it's like one of the best things about this game. It's also just like a really hard contradictional point with the story of this, because this story's about like what, revenge, loss, and like I guess forgiveness too, right? Depending, because from what I remember from the ending or whatever.
Yeah, that's
it just feels weird that we're obliterating these people that are like, we're in the middle of a firefight, and Ellie's, the only reaction Ellie's having is between like to the main characters. You know,
Here's the
quote
thing,
unquote.
and the thing is, not to tread on too sensitive topics, but when it comes to who's getting eviscerated, right? First of all, these people are not tied at all to the true goal, which is, she wants to get the revenge she wants on one specific person and the group that was surrounding her. But you're mowing down groups of people that you never knew, but they're still, being a victim. A lot of people like to, clown on the game, saying that, no, the game is just, no, don't get revenge, it's bad. No, that's completely missing the point. Like, that's one of like the many things that the game explores, and if you already got spoiled on the ending and all this, then you understand, and that's just one big umbrella theme, which with a bunch of other situations sprinkled in between that explore other topics and other themes.
Not even that, but like I feel like just like the revenge is bad kind of thing is just such a like surface level, like dismissive like look at this game.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not even the whole point of the game. Like you're invalidating a much more nuanced journey of a broken woman that is seeking something that she doesn't even know if she truly wants. Like the way that they set it up, where like people will grasp at straws in any reason to hate on this game. A lot of people will, saying that, oh, Joel, how did Joel trust? It's like, yo, when he finally came into terms of like, oh, we're fine. Like he got comfortable. He got comfortable. That's reality. Joel got comfortable. He got that. Like, who would trust people like that? He got comfortable. That's just one of the big things that people like to clown on. That he was, it doesn't make sense that Joel would trust these people. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but he got comfortable. It happens. It happens. And when it comes to the surface level, revenge is bad. You don't have to say revenge is bad for you to know that revenge is bad. This doesn't have to be a story about that, and it's not about that. It's much more nuanced, and I can't talk about it more because you'll get spoiled. Because there's so much. There's so much.
No, it's not even just like revenge is bad. Kind of like saying about it. Really, it's just more of like the consequences of like one's actions.
Yeah.
And how kind of death is reflected in that. And
intention, because let's be honest.
Exactly.
Be honest with me, Macho. Ellie didn't have to go that far with Nora.
No,
she didn't. She could have just been like, bam, you're dead. No, she was like, bam, bam, bam. She was enjoying that. And then she was like, oh, what did I do? It's that psychological aspect of the game. You see these characters suffer. You see them. And that's one of the things that Jay pointed out. How
that's
what
I was missing the first 8 to 9 hours, where just like,
yep.
Like, are you even taking in like you're just like killing all these people? It's not like Bandits, how it was on Last of Us 1 or anything like that, or these are actually just like people that happen to be between you and your goal.
Yep.
So I was waiting for that moment where she has like this reflective like, what the fuck am I doing? And I finally got that moment. So that's what kind of like motivated me a little bit more. But like what really just also demotivated me a lot from even playing the first time is that what made The Last of Us 1 for me so much was that it was about Joel and Ellie. Like the center and the soul of The Last of Us was Joel and Ellie for me. Right. So to kind of like have that missing, it was like it didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth, but it left me resentful because I wanted another adventure with Joel and Ellie.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think the game does intentionally make you feel that resent and that also that hate towards Abby in the beginning, to where that would be like that would be your first motivating factor in the game. But then as you see, you're gonna play as Abby, so your perspective is the game is gonna attempt and try and change your perspective, which I think is fascinating. With me, they succeeded to the point where I could have enjoyed a whole game just with Abby, like straight up. Just
the thing is, I don't even have hate or anything towards X. I understand her reason.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a logical person.
100%.
There's just fucking clowns on the internet that would take it to the extreme.
Yeah, no,
They
no,
would
I
take
understand. I understand her reason completely. And like when that scene happened with Joel, like I was just sad. I was like
Yeah.
even seeing it once, twice, three times over, like the past year, right? Because Twitter and stupid fanboys. Even
Yep.
then, I was just like, this is probably one of the most heartbreaking things I've seen. And Ashley Johnson just like fucking killed it with her
Oh, dude,
performance in that.
Yeah.
she's a whole new level. And Troy, they're both. And now the you're gonna play Laura's performance and see how she does. Which, to no one's surprise, it's amazing. It's incredible. Because Laura Bailey, she's just amazing. But yeah, man, I'm excited to hear. I'm more with Ellie. You know, it was whatever to I was very 50-50 on what you like feel from it from the first section of the game, because that's very much where a lot of people drop the game because they're not invested enough. But I'm excited to hear what you think about now Abby's journey.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
really hoping it kind of flips, just because yeah, the first like 8 hours, I was just like, man, I could just like leave where I am with this game and like I'll come back to it in a couple months, kind of thing. But
Absolutely.
but after finishing day 3 of Seattle with Ellie, I was just like, okay, now I have a little bit more motivation to actually see where this is going to keep going and possibly see things I didn't see before and feel things I didn't feel before because of the leaks and all that stuff. So
And and a
yeah.
question, Macho, and to Jay as well, because and again, me, I don't have this perspective, but it's a perspective I saw a lot during the Last of Us 2 launch. Um, a lot of people considered in Last of Us 1 Joel to be a hero. Did y'all see him in that light?
No, no.
Okay.
Not at all.
If
No.
Okay, so we're
if people did, then they're wrong. Like,
No,
right.
An iconic video game character, 100%. A hero, not in the slightest.
Correct, and that's where I think they got their meanings mixed up, because a lot of people assume icon, oh, hero, therefore hero. I don't think in any way, shape, or form, in any moment, was he a hero? Was he compassionate? Was he empathetic? And a lot of times, yes. Up until the end, where he was like, I am empathetic. Just not to these hundreds of fireflies that I'm about to extinguish. And it's like, I don't. I get the sentiment in Last of Us 2 of you feeling for Ellie, but you being upset because this didn't have a reason. This after they mention the reason, it's like, oh, it's complete sense. The whole game makes sense. The game makes sense. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, I
that
don't
people
agree
take it
with
to an
people when they
extreme.
said that he went out like a bitch or anything. Like I
No,
completely disagree
not
with
at
that.
all. This
Yeah,
man,
when he got strapped up and he was like, just say the speech you rehearsed or whatever and get this over with.
yeah.
Like inside in my feels, I was like, damn, Joel.
That's a hard boy. The hard. He's hard, man. And you know, and I mentioned comfortable, but when I say he got comfortable, it's realistically, I'm like getting in the mindset of you haven't seen danger in so long. You're like facing your own issues. I feel like after what, 20, 30 years of just not like mayhem, and you finally get a sense of peace, a little sense of peace. He just got a little it didn't get he wasn't gonna go out like a bitch. He just got a little bit comfortable beforehand, and then he was like, oh fuck, like who, just do it. Just do it. Just, I don't give a shit. What are you gonna say? Yeah, give me that golf club, I'll do it myself. Like, jeez, man, it's insane, man. But y'all touched on let me tell you, Jay, you put it beautifully. Everything you said, perfectly said, beautifully said. And I'm excited that Macho is going to give it the chance that it deserves, and he didn't drop it, and that something hooked him, and it was the emotions, it was the characters, the story, and hopefully he develops some sort of respect for Dina. A little bit,
some respect.
just a little bit, because she could have stayed, but she's here with Ellie. She's here. You know?
Yeah, man, that's
That-
number one. That's
yeah.
the number one reason right there.
Yeah, Macho, oh, I don't buy it. No, she left the settlement. She left safety to be with her.
Easily. If I was,
Man,
if
what
I
el-
was,
man,
if
man,
I was,
man, what else is she gonna do?
if I
What else is she gonna
stay.
Hey, if she didn't care,
Yeah, if I was Dina, I'd be like, man, yeah, I'm gonna stay where
man.
there's food,
No,
there's water.
that's what I'm saying. What else is she gonna do with the settlement? Just chill? Like,
Yeah,
come on,
why not?
Yeah.
Why not? It's a
Well,
full
what are you gonna
community.
do in a cordyceps infested world with
could-
freaking?
Yeah,
She
she
could what? She could
watch movies, man. She's got a lot to do there.
Nah,
Yeah,
it's-
man.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of her, man. I just don't buy it, man.
But what about her performance? Do you like it or not?
Is it because she's Jewish? Is that why?
I did catch that dialogue too. And yeah, I'm just gonna never mind. It's not because she's Jewish. No, it's not because she's Jewish. I don't know. It's like the dialogue between her and Ellie. It's not as enticing, or like it's not as, I don't know. Like it's the chemistry between the two I don't really like see.
Gotcha. I will say though that it's really interesting, and I know we've been on this topic for a minute, but it's really interesting that just seeing, like, I feel like some of the best, or I don't want to say the best, but at least some of the most interesting like pieces of like medium or art is the ones that don't have like a definitive like opinion about them. So like, even though I love God of War, like I'll admit it is a little bit boring sometimes to be like, oh, it's just universally loved, you know what I mean? So I feel like
Right, yeah.
some of the most interesting things are the ones that are so divisive, right? Because like for this game, like it's like everyone is kind of like on this wide spectrum of how they feel, and it's really cool to see, you know, Macho, like how you feel about Dina, for instance, is completely different from how me and Walt feel about her, for example. Like everyone has their own sort of takeaway from this game. And I don't know, I think that's not a lot of, you know, pieces of art or whatever can really do that, right? And I think that's really interesting. Like for me, this game more than anything else is a story about empathy, and kind of where you draw that line of like, when can you, after someone does something, you know, so unforgivable and crosses a line, at what point can you know, forgive them, even though, you know, they've, you know, crossed that line, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. And again, just seeing how other people, or what other people kind of take away from this game, is really interesting.
Yeah, I
Agree.
think it was just kind of like like what it would need to do for me, at least in like the last part of Abby, to like transcend like kind of like my grand scope of those themes that you're talking about, is reflecting it in gameplay.
Yeah.
Like what you choose to do matters, right? What, not just what the story is directing you towards. If it can accomplish that, and from what I'm playing, then like, yeah, it's gonna put it like on that level, like one of my favorite games of all time. But if it's something just like, it's very like, there's a story and then there's what you do and there's the gameplay, and the gameplay doesn't really have much reflection on the story, then for me it's just gonna be like, okay, it was good, you know.
Yeah, I think you'll like the second half more than the first.
Yeah, hopefully I'll play it this week. We'll see how it goes. But yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah, man.
All right, man.
So have you haven't played anything else? Just those two?
Yeah, no, that's it. We talked about this for a long time, as I figured.
Walt, Walt, come on, man. What you been playing, man?
Oh, honestly, I'm glad we took as long as we did, because honestly, I haven't played. I play a lot of Dark Souls. We talked about that. Had a blast. And I'm playing Returnal. Last biome. I haven't beaten it because it's hard. I'm taking my time. I tried twice this week and didn't go well. So today I am trying again. Aside
I tell
from
you,
that,
man, that last biome is a bitch, man.
this last biome, the whole underwater, slow fall, it's fucking with me. It's fucking with me. Now, when it comes to new games, there's a new game I purchased, which I haven't gotten deep into it. I literally just started. I haven't touched it since I told Macho about it, because this was my last week of summer classes, starting fall semester soon. But I bought Chrono Trigger on the PS Vita, and this is a game that forever and ever, I always heard how people praise the hell out of it, calling it probably some the best game of all time, some the best JRPG of all time, one of the best stories ever told. And I finally got around to buying it on the beautiful console that is the Vita. And after I'm done with the Returnal, hopefully this weekend, that's where I'm going to be sinking my teeth in. That, and in terms of upcoming games that I will be playing, next game on the list after Returnal, Chrono Trigger will be the one where I jump in every now and then, because it is a long game. It's a JRPG, nonetheless. Next game on my list will be Catherine Full Body. Never played Catherine.
Nice.
Yeah, never played Catherine in my life. This will be my first experience with it, and I'll be playing it here on my PS5 and see which Catherine is the best Catherine.
You already know, man. You already know.
I already know, just from knowing some aspects of them. I'm pretty sure of who I'm gonna go with, but maybe
I did the first time. I did it again the second time. No regrets.
Hey man, I've seen glimpses of the different endings you can get. I don't know how to get them. I'm gonna play it just as I would normally do, and depending on what I get, I'll let y'all know how satisfied I was. But I feel like this is a game that'll give the Persona treatment. I'll play a lot because I see there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options for different ways that it can go in the story.
Yeah, it's fun, man. You're gonna have a good time with that one.
Yeah. Thank you. That's pretty much all I have done this last week and what I'll be doing. Chrono Trigger and Catherine, the two C's.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Let's get into some of these topics. So, you know what? Let's just start with this one first, because I feel like this might be the longest. I don't know. So yesterday I went to you guys and I was like, I gave you guys some homework. I was like, I want you guys to put together a list of your top 10 PlayStation exclusives, and this kind of originated from seeing IGN post a video with a similar sort of title saying the top 10 PlayStation exclusives. So that gave me the idea, okay, cool, that'd be something that we could definitely do. But I wanted to kind of save that idea for a podcast that we didn't have a lot of topics. So hey, this is the perfect one, man. So yeah, man, this is gonna be strictly. I think we agreed strictly on first party, right?
Yeah.
So this would exclude, exclusives like Final Fantasy, Bloodborne, unfortunately. Even though
sadly
that one's weird because like it kind of is first party because Japan Studio helped with it, but I don't know. We're not counting it. We're not counting.
The thing is, I'm gonna make a disclaimer right now. There's like maybe 2 spots on my list that are first party, but that's only because there are only so many games that I actually connected with throughout my years of playing PlayStation. My first PlayStation was the PlayStation 3, and there aren't that many first party like that I feel worthy of a top 10. At least that's just me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think also this top 10 is kind of just like obviously our own personal opinion. There's no like these are the greatest games on PlayStation that you can like. No, this is our favorite top 10 from first party PlayStation games.
Which is why some of them are games that, although they weren't first party, they were only playable on PlayStation and are only playable on PlayStation consoles.
Cool.
Okay, so yours might be a little different because I chose just only first party PlayStation games.
Yeah, I did
correct.
Too.
But y'all talk a lot about like games that I've never in my life touched, so that makes sense. That are first party.
Okay.
But we'll see. Maybe on the way I remember something that clicks because I had to really do homework because there's a lot of games I did not remember and I was like, oh wait, I did enjoy that. But yeah,
cool.
Let's get into it.
Cool. Anyone want to go first?
Yo, so I will propose this. How about if we could do it 2 ways. One person does all top 10 and the other one does top 10, or we can go 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 9, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we do that too, possibly.
You think that would take longer though?
I don't know.
Not
Depends
sure.
on what we talk about it. We just say a few things that we like about the game, and that's it.
All right, we can try that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go our number 10s, our number 9s, and
Sure.
such.
All right, I'll kick it off.
Okay.
All
All right.
right, so my number 10 is Marvel's Spider-Man. I'm not like it's funny because it's number 10, so it's like pretty like it made it onto the list, but like I'm still like not like I'm not like wild about it, but it is like the de facto like Spider-Man game for me. Even though I'll sing the praises of Web of Shadows all day every day, but
Oh man, Web of Shadows is awesome too.
right, it's so dope. That's a damn good game, man. It does
really
not. It
was.
does not deserve that like 68 it has on Metacritic, man.
Absolutely not. No, it had the best like commercial on TV too. The symbiote just taking over New York City and shit.
Yeah,
I remember that TV commercial. It was awesome.
it's a great game, man. They have Mary Jane with a shotgun too. Come on now.
Yeah. Remember that?
Oh
Shit.
man.
Yeah. So obviously, swinging combat was fun. I really enjoyed the story. The suits was, all Spider-Man games have to have a great selection of suits, and this one definitely did. I loved
100%. Yeah.
Yuri Lowenthal, man. He is probably like I love me some Tobey Maguire, right? Like I grew up with that Spider-Man. I think Yuri might have surpassed him as like my favorite Spider-Man. Like Yuri plays a damn good Spider-Man, and Peter Parker.
What's your worst Spider-Man in your opinion?
Um, I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, simmer on it.
not 100% sure. Because there's obviously a lot. There's the animated series. There's like the spectacular, the ultimate.
There's a couple, yeah.
Yeah, man. Although it might be Drake Bell. It might be Drake Bell's Spider-Man because of the he might have earned a spot. Yeah. But yeah. Really enjoyed the game. Like I said, the story, and for me, not being like super well versed into like the Spider-Man universe, like I only know like surface level stuff. Getting introduced to characters that I didn't know about, like Silver Sable was really really cool, and Tombstone, for instance, and Taskmaster.
And
Yeah,
Doc Ock.
but of course I knew him. Come on, man.
No, but his like he was like one part of the game I just did not. I like obviously I know who Doc Ock is because I love Spider-Man, but like I did not expect like his event to happen in this game. Like it was
Yeah.
like his like bringing up like his origin and such.
That was epic. Pretty
Yeah.
nice.
So cool.
And then of course the final fight against Doc Ock on the tower is fucking awesome.
Legendary.
And then that
That was Sam Raimi epic like fight right there.
yeah, and then
Absolutely.
that last conversation that they
Oh.
had together, that
Oh.
that solidified to me that Yuri is like the best Spider-Man. But yeah, that's my number
Couldn't
10.
agree more.
What about you guys?
Nice, man. Go ahead, Macho.
So my number 10, and remember this is all based on your own personal enjoyment and my personal top
Yep.
10. My number 10 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
Okay.
I have that one set up as number 10 as having recently played it and seeing all the good, great, and bads of it. It's one of those games where just I didn't expect to love as much, where Guerrilla was saying they're doing open world RPG or open world action game, and the way it looked and it was presented, I wasn't completely sold on it, but I decided to get it anyway just to check it out. And I just completely fell in love with this world. The fact that you're facing against mech dinosaurs is awesome, and it never ceases to amaze me. Just like the amount of like gameplay ways you can go about like tackling and hunting these mech dinosaurs and taking them down. Just the gameplay loop for me is just it always feels fresh, despite even if you're tackling it the same way or what case or another. And surprisingly enough, too, the game's lore and how it all unveils unto you, and like how this world came to be and where it's going, is surprisingly inventive and awesome. I can't recommend it enough to people. Even if they think it's slow for the first couple hours, which yeah, it could be. It's definitely like a slow build up, but the payoff is incredible and it's worth it. And the gameplay itself is just a ton of fun. I never get tired of playing the game. So, number 10 for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice, nice. What about you, Walt?
My number 10, and I gotta remind people, yes, this is personal enjoyment. My number 10 is Detroit Become Human. And listen, the reason this game is up here on top 10, it's because this is still one of those narrative experiences that I will, whenever I'm like faced with like a topic or a theme like in life that I just think about, I think about how that was applied in Detroit Become Human, you know? And in a lot of mediums, I think about whenever you're faced with what it means to be a human, not only in android form, but in human form. Like what does humanity mean? You know, the way they tackle the characters, the obviously visuals, and on PS5, that's whew. The game looks beautiful. The performances for me, they were phenomenal. Everyone, Clancy Brown, Brian Deckard, Jesse Williams, everyone, like, I loved the entire story. Obviously, it had its up and downs, like any game. Reason why it's number 10, because it has those little moments where I wanted to just stop playing because it was getting way too cheesy. It's just like any Quantic Dream game, it has those moments. But all in all, I think that for me, so far, and PlayStation in regards to PlayStation, it's still one of my all-time favorite games, narrative-wise. And the fact that you're encouraged to replay and see every other branching path in this little grid map you get in the main menu. I just needed to fill that in. So I kept playing it and unlocking different routes. And I loved it. And the different themes it explored. Yeah, that's
I definitely gotta play that with the fiance for sure.
Dude, oh, you do. You really do. If you like Walking Dead, like that whole, you know, making decisions on the fly, what's the best, you and your fiance are going to be questioning some things like in the game, not maybe from each other. I don't know you well. You two well.
Oh man.
But when it comes to not him, but like you two, your dynamic. I read the you know, I know how you work with games, whether you know play It Takes Two, Animal Crossing, all these games, but I don't know how deep you both will go into it. But definitely give it a try. It's a phenomenal game. I don't know how y'all feel about Quantic Dream games in general.
Quantic Dream, yeah, exactly. Quantic Dream.
I personally enjoyed Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. I don't know about
same.
you two.
Same.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. But yeah, that's my number 10 so far.
Nice. My number 9 is Ghost of Tsushima. We've already talked about this game like extensively before, but all that I'll add is that recently I've been listening to the soundtrack just randomly, and I forgot how awesome this soundtrack is, man. It's actually making me like really like want to replay it. So I'm actually looking at that director's cut now, which I didn't think I would be, but that soundtrack is fucking awesome. That Jin Sakai's theme is absolutely iconic, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend listening to that soundtrack. It doesn't get enough respect, man, or enough love, but it's really damn good.
Honestly. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 9.
That's the kind of game I see myself buying the vinyl for. I don't know. It'd be pretty nice. It'd be a nice design.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually.
What about you, Macho? What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Crash Team Racing.
Ooh.
While I understand that the Crash series now with Activision and that IP is kind of with them, it originated on PlayStation, and that's what I have the most fond memories of, playing that with my cousins after we got out of the pool and just jumping on Crash Team Racing. And I'm always picking Crash or the polar bear. Maybe maybe Coco if I just want to make my cousins mad or whatever, getting beat out by a girl. but that game is just a ton of fun, and I'm so glad it kind of got revitalized with its like kind of like remaster or remake, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's sort of like a remake. But the original one was just like it just oozed with like character and everything that Crash was about and more, just in the kart form. And for me, it would always and just forever be over Mario Kart. Absolutely, 100%. Crash Team Racing over Mario Kart every day, all day. So, number 9, Crash Team Racing for me.
Hell yeah.
Man.
Well,
my number 9 is... Oh, snap! Wait, no, don't close. There we go. My number 9 is God of War 3. When I was thinking about all the God of Wars, because there's a lot of them, I thought about one of the best experiences I've had on the PS3, it being my first PlayStation console. And to this day, I think, as much as I love the new God of War, which, mind you, it may be in this list, I don't know. But as much as I love the new God of War, with the old formula, none did it as best than God of War 3. And the way that they set up those boss fights, because that's essentially, that game was puzzles and a boss gauntlet. Just it was amazing. It's the good kind of gory. It goes borderline to like, wait, is this okay? Like it's phenomenal. It so much fun. It's so brutal. It drew that testosterone from me back then. It was like like this is it.
This game will make you a man.
I'm killing gods. You're going down, and like that last scene where you keep pressing the R3 and L3s, and you keep bashing Sue's head in, and you're like, do I stop or do I keep pressing? I legitimately, like, just for 10 straight minutes, I was like, okay, anytime now a cutscene will cut. And the whole screen was just red. And I'm like, this is insane. What is going on? I just heard the clap.
You're in the fight against Hercules, too?
Dude, oh my god, when you grab that plate and you smash it on the... Oh, dude. Every single moment. That game had no moment where I was like, ugh, I'm bored. The whole game was a non-stop, like, just going down on a roller coaster. Not in terms of quality, in terms of adrenaline. Just a non-stop, like, ugh. It was like getting on the Hulk ride when you, like, blast, like, all the way up and then go down. It felt like that blast, like, forever. But yeah, man. That's my number 9.
nice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 9. My number 8 is Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, man.
Love that name.
Yeah. All their names are like that. Yeah, so this is probably like, I don't know, this Ratchet is like, I know it's a lot of people's favorite. I don't know, I do love it, but there's also like it's not my favorite Ratchet for many reasons, but it's still like a damn good Ratchet game. And this is probably like, I go back and forth between if this one or Going Commando is the funniest in the series, but this one is still like no slouch. The weapon selection is also really, really good in this one. It's probably my favorite story in the series, and I know that might be blasphemy because there's a Crack in Time and people really love that story, but this one is also like really, really good. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about it. It's definitely like peak Ratchet. When I kind of look back on the series as a whole, it's definitely like probably top 2, top 3 in the entire franchise. So yeah, that's my number 8.
Nice.
Cool.
What's your number 8? Mark?
So my number 8 is Journey.
Fascinating.
Journey is just, I came to it super late, and I was just looking for something different, and so I decided just to take the plunge of Journey. Why not? Because it's actually a pretty cheap indie title. Pretty sure I got it on sale. And I was kind of just enjoying like the art and the music of it for the first couple of hours, and other than that, I was just like, okay, this is pretty cool. I can kind of see what people will like, but I didn't really understand the praise about it. until I got about maybe the third or fourth hour into it, and then some random online player that I had no idea who or what, no voice chat, no nothing, just decided to go on the journey with me, pun intended.
Haha.
And and or she stuck with me until up until like the very like up until like I would say like the part where you got into like the snowstorm, right at the end of it. And like I don't know, just something like it just got an emotional response from it. This person that like I had no idea who it was or what was really going on, or really kind of like how to properly play this game, and for them to kind of like go with me like through the entire time, and to finally like kind of bow out at like near the end of it was just I felt like it like kind of spoke to what the game was about, and kind of like that whole experience, and the ending is just something I will never forget. It left such a big impression on me that like I went back to like the PlayStation PlayStation blog podcast, and listened to when Shu was talking about the game, and how like Journey just made people feel so like it helped them through like the kind of like the toughest times in their lives. So yeah, I had to give it a Journey. That game is just even after all these years, I still think about that one moment and just like kind of my experience with that game.
Nice, man. Well,
Cool.
my number 8 was mentioned earlier by Jay. My number 8 it's Ghost of Tsushima, and although I haven't 100% completed this game, I already consider it in my top 10, and it's because of all its separate parts, how it makes a whole like phenomenal experience, and that includes the music, the setting, the visuals, the environment, the characters, and the diversity in gameplay and how you can tackle, both as an assassin or a samurai. Just overall, fantastic game. And Soul pretty much covered it. A big part of that game is the soundtrack. And honestly, I would sometimes just ride my horse and like through the landscapes and just listen, and just listen, like just like Persona, where I would pause it and just listen to the soundtrack. But yeah, that would be my number 8. Phenomenal game through and through. What about you, Soul? You're number 7.
Um, my number 7 is Shadow of the Colossus. Um,
Which version?
this the remake. That was my first time playing the game, and
Gotcha.
I adore it for the simple fact of just like how unorthodox it is. Right? It's purely a boss run. And I don't know, like I at least in this sort of scale, I've never played anything like that. I just love how sort of like
Colossal scale.
sure. I never played anything like or I guess I should say I just really like how minimalistic it is, right? Like there's no HUD, there's no sort of like waypoint telling you where to go. Like everything feels organic and like natural, like within the actual game itself. There's no necessarily any signs pointing you right where you need to go, or like hints coming up, words telling you, hey, do this, do that next. It's really just you in the game and kind of figuring it out yourself, and I really like that. Specifically even with the bosses, right? You kind of have to figure that out on your own. And I feel like in this kind of era, like that's really hard to find. Yeah, this and then of course the sort of the growing realization of, okay, we are clearly like you get that uneasy feeling right from the start, right, that you're kind of in a place that you shouldn't be. That you're probably not supposed to be doing this, and then of course come towards the end of the game, and that I was just absolutely floored by how that game
Plot
ends.
twist.
Yeah, I've like never seen anything like that in a game, man. And the fact that this was happening in like 2005 or whenever the game came out, right? Like, it's no wonder why this is like held up as like one of like the iconic games. And yeah, it's definitely like one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah,
After
the
you
music
finish
is
it, it's
incredible
just
in that game, man.
regret.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
regret the game. It should be called just Shadow of Regret. Because after you beat the game, you're like, oh, well, fuck. I did all that. They didn't deserve it.
No,
I'm the bad guy. It's amazing. It's amazing.
no. But yeah, that's
Oh,
that's my number 7.
what's your number 7, Macho?
My number 7 goes to God of War 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Well, with just like there's like a nonstop adrenaline fuel to it, and God of War 3 wasn't my introduction to the series. It kind of revitalized the series for me. Not the sense that it was waning anyway. It was just the fact that it's
Right.
when you're kind of like
Reinforced it.
yeah, when you're a gamer, you don't and you're a young gamer, you don't work, you don't really look for games like that unless you're going to Blockbuster.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like reading a Game Informer magazine and reading like God of War 3 getting a 10 out of 10, right? Like I'd never seen that in a Game Informer magazine at that time for me. So to read that, to kind of read up on this game and like on the review in that magazine and be like, and them saying like this is like the pinnacle of like action games, like it's incredibly fun. And on top of that, I'm seeing like a playthrough of it too on obviously on YouTube, and just seeing how much fun this YouTuber is having with it, and like that just made me go out and buy it. Like I had to play it, and I did not put it down. As soon as I just put it in, I just kept playing until I had to put it down, which is when I went to my cousin's house. But even then, I brought my PS3 and we played some more, and then just ripping up like centaurs and like everything. Like it was just so much fun just to kind of like see like all the oh shit moments, like with the boss fights and
Kronos
everything.
fight. Dude, the Kronos
Yes.
fight. That's still such a
Oh my
legendary fight.
It's disgusting. It's absolutely
It
disgusting.
really is. It really is.
And then just the music too. It's just oh man, it's like God of War 3 is just, for me is the one like the most fun games ever. And like you said it too, well the best you said when there's like a boss gauntlet.
Yeah.
Puzzles
and-
and boss gauntlet, and it's like but to that degree though, like it lives up to like the hype of like what 1 and 2 built, and just completely just drives it home.
Absolutely. And I think that, I didn't mention this, but that with this new God of War, essentially storyline that they're doing with more, Norse mythology, I don't feel God of War built up to Zeus, right? You were every time it was like Zeus, like he's behind it, like everything would point to Zeus, and in your mind it's like, will I ever get to fight him? And in God of War 3, it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then you finally get to fight him, and it's the most rewarding thing ever, and it's epic. And then Athena shows up and fucking fuck her. I feel like with this new storyline, I'm not anticipating a fight against like Odin, but a part of me is like, that's the pinnacle. But I don't know if that's the pinnacle, because now I feel like games have become so nuanced, and I don't know what to expect from Corey. That like maybe Odin is not the end game. Maybe Freya looks for a way to truly like she the promise she made of raining every agony and despair upon Kratos. Maybe that's what it's gonna be. Maybe it's against Freya. I don't know. Like, and is it gonna be Kratos? Because according to the game, I don't know, man. Still so much. But yeah, the Odin level threat with Zeus, that was what kept me going. Like throughout that whole game, I'm like, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna beat his ass. I'm gonna get there. And it was just boss after boss. It's so good. And now that we're talking about, that number 7, which question? Sidetrack. You did play Ascension, Ghost of Sparta, right? Or not? Have you not played those?
I didn't play Ascension, no, but I did play
Gotcha.
Ghost of Sparta. Yeah.
Got it. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was. I liked majority of the God of War games really.
Got it.
The one I just didn't play was Ascension, really. So.
Got it. Well, my number 7 is Horizon Zero Dawn, and this one is up here for this essentially. Macho mentioned how he played through all the good, the bad, and the ugly of this game, and I didn't play it fairly recently. I played it when it came out, like a year or a few months after. For me, the highlight of this game continues to be the story, and Aloy. The relationship that it was so apparent between her and, forgot her name, but her, biological DNA. I forgot how they created babies in that world. It was such a bizarre process. The whole relationship between her and the past characters and the Doctor, and I really like the idea behind Gaia and Hades and all these mechanisms and how they worked and how the world was shaped and how it went back to primal times, but it's still technological, and that I continue to praise that nice mixture of old versus new, and they really nailed it for me. It's ironic that the one thing that is new, it represents what is old for us, and it's just encased in nature, and humanity goes back to its primal and more tribe forward attitudes, and continue to kill each other for resources and power, because to no surprise, that's how it goes. But yeah, that I can't really praise other parts of it, because I do think that Horizon Zero Dawn did lack in a few things that other games like Ghost of Tsushima didn't. And mind you, I didn't put this disclaimer forward. From 5 to 10, these are mixed. They can go up and down. 4 through 1, those are like, that's my order of them. Just to let that be known. Because I can easily flip through these last 6 last 7 up and down. But yeah, that's my number 7. Soul, your number 6.
Let's see. Okay. Number 6 is, I am going to have, you know what? Yeah, let's go with Jak 2.
Okay.
You know what? I flip-flopped on this one. You know what? I was gonna say Uncharted 2, but I'm gonna leave that out, because I feel like that's like not the generic one, but like I feel like I feel pretty safe in my assumption that someone is gonna say Uncharted, so I'm gonna leave it out.
No.
No? What?
Jay, do you read minds, Jay? That is my number 6.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna leave it out. I'm gonna have Jak 2 instead.
Okay.
Jak 2 is one of the hardest games I've ever played, but it's also a ton of fun, man. There's a lot of variety. Not all of it good, some of it bad, but there is a lot of variety in terms of like gameplay and what you're doing with the mini games and platforming, and of course the combat. This was definitely almost kind of feels like the industry at the same time was seeing what GTA was doing and kind of wanted to do a little bit of that as well. So this is definitely Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, but with a more GTA approach to it. So you can fucking punch civilians, hijack their vehicles, run them over with it. Obviously there's a heavy emphasis on guns this time around. It's a really, really long game as well, and I really like exploring Haven City. It's very distinct. Like all of its districts feel different from one another, whether you're going from the more industrial area to the kind of slums that are like almost like walkways that are like atop like weird like bridges over this giant lake or whatever. Yeah, and of course the characters that you meet, Ashlyn specifically, she's great. She awakened my love for ladies with long ears.
All right, okay.
just licking his lips.
Yeah, man.
Oh man.
And face tattoos. She's responsible for that. Yeah, man, it's a really fun game. But yeah, that's my number 6.
I have not finished it, and I don't know if I plan on to. That game is hard as balls.
Yeah, it's a hard game.
Okay, so my number.
Yeah.
Is that you all set?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, my number 6 is an oldie but a goodie. Spyro 3: Year of the Dragon.
Oh.
Spyro 3 is it's kind of like the Crash series, where like I didn't really play 1 and 2 as much, but 3 I play religiously with either it's my aunt or my cousins. Back then we were all just grouped around the TV, and Spyro 3 was one of those where just like the bits and the sounds and kind of just like the weird nature of the Spyro series and kind of what it envelops, it's like it just absolutely has a characteristic of like 90s video games that just doesn't get old. And it's so perfectly replicated too in the remasters that were released a couple years ago that just have the same capture and feeling, but at the same time, like, it doesn't have nostalgia because obviously it's kind of like it has a brand new coat of paint. But that first one on PS1 just absolutely hit home for me, where I'm just getting enveloped into like all like the weird adventure of it all and just the cool characters and everything else. But yeah, that's Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon. It's again oldie but a goodie, so I can't recommend it enough for anybody.
Okay.
Nice.
I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, my number 6 is Uncharted 2. And to your point, I do agree. And while I was putting it last night, I was like, but it's true. Like, in my mind, I'm like, but this was my first Uncharted. And, you know, typically your first game of a franchise usually is like your favorite one. For me, like Final Fantasy is 10 for me. But Uncharted 2, I believe even objectively for me, it's like, not, you know, for others, but for me, it very much feels like the best Uncharted, not because it's better than the other ones, but in how it does everything, and the characters, and the pacing, and how it feels like a non-stop action movie with also an engaging plot, and like an actual like characters that I actually cared for. This is the first time we do meet Chloe, and to be frank, she is one of the highlights of that game, and probably one of the reasons why I put this game up here, because Chloe
absolutely,
Fraser still,
100%.
Hey, yo.
Chloe Fraser up to this moment, bro, let me tell you, I was this close to putting Lost Legacy instead of Uncharted 2, but and listen, it's the fact that not only is she, you know, but she is a very interesting character in my eyes. The whole mystery behind her, like, what were her intentions? What did she mean? What she say? No, she's just playing me. But no, but does she care? She betrays you, but is she like the back and forth? It felt very like whenever you see a Bond movie and you always see like whether that be a female or male character, and you're like, are they betraying me? Will they? Won't they? The mystery surrounding this character, and she was just the wit, the humor. She was a beautiful character, through and through, inside and outside. So for me, she very much elevated the experience of that game because of the interactions that Nathan and her had, the dipshit that hired them, their quote-unquote best friend, I forgot his name. I hated him. But he was
This
a great
confirms to me that Walt likes to chase.
Hey, man. Hey. And that's one thing. The action sequences, the set pieces, there's to this moment and to this time, they're still very much
They hold
one
up.
of the best set pieces in any Uncharted games. You know.
They hold up, man. They're still really, really good and blood pumping.
Absolutely, man. And the game starts up like that. You're on a train that's about to fall, and you have to be quick, boy. You're gonna die. Get up that train. Get up. Come on, start climbing. It already sets up what the game is about to be. Just a nonstop, nail biter, blood pumping action game with an actually like good storyline and great characters.
Man. Yeah,
But,
the
yeah.
I mentioned too real quick that the multiplayer for that game is incredible as well.
Oh,
I played that
absolutely.
for hours. I played for
Dude.
hours, man.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, that is one of my most recent experiences in a multiplayer game. Like that's not Call of Duty, because Black Ops 1 obviously that was mostly multiplayer. But this is one of the first games that I actually delved into the multiplayer of, and it was nonstop fun. Something that Uncharted 4, although it was very much polished, it didn't grab me as much as this multiplayer did. I don't know, maybe nostalgia plays a big factor. But yeah, that's my number 6, man. What's your number 5, Jay?
Okay, I'm trying to see something really quick. Okay.
Getting down to the weeds here.
Yeah. Now from here up, there was no way some of these were not going to be here. So at this point, I'm like, it's just games that you can only play on PlayStation. Like first party at this point, it out the window for me at least.
Okay.
Because there's just no way. There's no way for me. Like
I was for number 5. I had a couple things that I was gonna put on here. So I had Killzone 2 and Infamous 2 that I was thinking about putting on here, but ultimately another Ratchet game. I went with Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. That's to me that's like the definitive Ratchet game. Like I said earlier, like I think Up Your Arsenal is like I go back and forth between which one's the funniest, but like Going Commando and Up Your Arsenal is interchangeable for me. This is the first time you meet another Lombax, which was a really, really big, part in the story. Even though she was forgotten by Insomniac, Insomniac did her dirty for whatever reason. She was a really cool character. It was really nice seeing. This was like edgy Ratchet back in the day, so it was really nice seeing him get all flustered whenever she would come on screen and whatever. And I'll still remember. And this was also back when the Ratchet games were really heavy on consumerism and just playing with that idea of how like big CEOs and companies extort employees and take advantage of consumers and whatnot. Just how they played with that was always really, really funny. I'll never forget there was this one scene. Ratchet and Clank were like on some ship or whatever, and they get this incoming message from the I think her name is Ashlyn Cross, the other Lombax, and she's talking to them, and I think it was like a surprise message, and Ratchet's like taken by surprise by it. He's like, oh, hey Ashlyn, and they're talking they're talking for a little bit, and Clank just like fully exposes him. He's like, "Oh, Ashlyn, Ratchet was calling you something else earlier," and Ashlyn's like, she's like, "Oh, really?" Ratchet just kind of like puts his hand on his hips and just like looks at Clank. he's like, "Come on, man." Yeah, it's just like little things like that, Oh, actually, this kind of reminds me of this other line in Ratchet 3. There's this whole weird subplot of what's his name, of Captain Quark. He like kind of like loses his mind and like becomes like a monkey man. And he like lives in the he lives in the jungle and like befriends this monkey. This is, remember when I told you guys about that one moment where he's like talking to the monkey. He's like, how was I supposed to know she was your sister? It was mating season or whatever. There's another moment in that game. This is like when he's like fucking like before he gets his mind back, but like he's like total like monkey. And there's like this documentary, and this really country guy's like talking about him. They make it out to be like he's like Sasquatch. They like get his like silhouette out in the woods, and he's like, yeah, I saw him. I saw him out in the woods. And this like eyewitness, he's like, he was naked and he was holding a banana. and the guy's like, and the guy's like, or the guy's like, or was it a banana? And so it was basically like, basically making out like he was holding his dick. It was like, but yeah, that was the humor back in the games back in the day, man, and I miss it.
I never played that game. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and the second game was making jokes like that all the time, man. But yeah, the second game is great too. The story is also really, really great. Figuring out who the villain was at the end of the day, or at the end of the game, was really cool. This was also the introduction of the goons for less, which was such a funny faction that you got to fight up against, because like they're back in Rift Apart, but like they're the guys who are always like, bro, are talking about their muscles and stuff like that. Like they're so not cool in Rift Apart, but like in Going Commando, they're like, you constantly got to like check in on them. Like there's a lot of cutscenes with guys and the leader specifically. And there was like, there's this one scene of you fight the leader. He's like in this giant mech suit, and he captures Ashland Cross, the other Lombax, and the cutscene just starts with like him like maniacally laughing inside the suit. He's just like ah ha 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 ha, and Ratchet's just like, "What's so funny?" And the guy's like, actually, I don't know." And just the way that it happens is really funny. There's another scene with another one of them that this like biker guy or whatever, and he's like acting like really tough, and he like threatens Ratchet, and then Ratchet's like he gets his wrench out, and he's like back the hell up, man, or else it's Plasma City, and he's like screaming at him, and then the biker's like, "Oh man, why'd you have to yell?" And then he like starts crying, and Ratchet's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry," but I don't know, man, it's a really funny game.
Is that game on the Vita or on PlayStation 5? Like, can I play that?
I don't even think it's on PlayStation now, to be honest. But I think the collection's on the Vita. It should be.
Yeah, I think the collection is on Vita digitally.
Yeah.
I still have the physical collection on PS3, and I'll definitely play it. That's like on the list for sure to play like next year to go through the Ratchet and Clank series. 'Cause I have Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time, so I want to play through all those.
What's the one you mentioned? Going Commando?
Yeah, I mean, just get the collection, because 1, 2, and 3 are all like, yeah, they're like the de facto Ratchet games that like I feel like everyone should play. Yeah.
Perfect.
That is my number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is Spider-Man. This I was very much kind of going back and forth between choosing this Spider-Man and then a Miles Morales. Miles Morales just hit different, man. Like it in terms of like cultural representation and Miles being my favorite Spider-Man character, like it hit all the notes for me that I needed it to, in more ways than one, especially with the cultural representation thing in Puerto Ricans. Like that was like I really needed that to hit for me for that game, and it did. So for the origin of like it's Insomniac Spider-Man, right, or the first one that came out in 2018, that one was just I was anticipating that for the longest because everybody's been saying that Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man on PlayStation 2 is the best one. Is true. It's like one of the best ones on top of Web of Shadows. But this one, man, this one just like what Insomniac did for the story and just the character callbacks and just really respecting the character of Spider-Man and kind of like what he represents and like what makes his stories amazing. They hit the nail on the head with it, and I couldn't be any happier with what they did with Mary Jane too. I think like her story arc is really interesting and different from what she usually does. I like the setup they're doing with Miles. I think Peter Parker is at his best, and like any entertainment medium that I've seen him, my favorite version of him is in Ultimate Spider-Man and the comic books, and then now this one with Insomniac Spider-Man. I really like this Peter Parker and just the Spider-Man overall, and I love the variety of villains, and the open world is just incredibly fun to navigate, and like it just for some reason when you're actually swinging this open world, it gives me a sort of serenity. Like it's like almost therapeutic in a way.
For sure.
It's I remember even tweeting this out, and I think the creative director of the game, Brian, I think it's Brian Intihar.
Yeah.
Where it's like I was having like nervous shakes about this interview for a job I was having, and I didn't really know how to quell it until like I just popped up my PS4 and started playing Spider-Man and just started swinging around, and I felt better. Like so, I don't know what kind of magic that was. Where like I just really wanted to kill some time and try not to think about it. But then next thing you know, I felt like very calm afterwards, and I went to that job interview more confident than usual. So
Nice.
yeah, Spider-Man number 5.
Nice, man. Well, my number 5 is Gravity Rush 2. And
Nice.
and we've sung his praises in this podcast of Gravity Rush 2 and how, you know, there's opinions of if a sequel would be better or a prequel would be a good idea or not. I assume everyone, Macho, you got to play it, right? Did you get to play it?
Yeah. We talked about during the podcast.
Yeah.
I played through it and beat it. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah, you did, yeah. And I also loved it. It's the kind of game that I played during a time where there weren't any. It's like now where Soul mentioned that now he's like, nothing's quite hitting the way he would like to. And I feel like when I played Gravity Rush 2 was the time where I had just dusted off my PS Vita and I had played the remaster of Gravity Rush 1. And I was so immersed. I platinumed that thing in a few days. And I was like, man. Because I wanted to play Gravity Rush 2, but in my mind, I'm like, no, I need to play the first one. And I got my Vita, I played the one, and I'm like, okay, now I played the 2. And it was just it was for weeks. For weeks, that was the only game I was playing between that and school. That was in college and work. That was for when I was working at GameStop, so that was fun. The experience I had with Gravity Rush 2 is one that is both about the game and about how it completely helped me escape from reality. Not that reality was shitty, but it very much was very stressful. And everything clicked, man. The story, the visuals, the absolute fun. It was at its core just such a fun game. Something that I mentioned with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's just a fun game. It's just super fun. Same with Returnal. Fun at the core. Because there's games you play and you're not necessarily having the most fun you've had in your life, but it's such a great narrative, or the visuals are amazing, or the music is hitting. And in this case, it's very much one of the few times that, similar to how Evil Within was for a time, where there was nothing to play, and that's the game I played for weeks. Gravity Rush 2 is very much cemented in my mind as like one of my all-time favorite PlayStation games.
Great music too.
Oh, the music, phenomenal, man. Sometimes I literally I would do the same thing. I do this with a lot of games that the music hit for me. I just let it play in the background and I just listen to the music. And both while fighting and while traversing. Because if you needed to go to either of the 3 layers, I forgot the names, but there's the slum area, the more middle-class working area, and then there's the snobby, more rich area. Whenever you needed to travel from place to place, the music, the sound effects, the sound design, everything just clicked together so perfectly. Everything was phenomenal. Music, character, story, visuals, love it. And that's my number 5. Now we getting into the big leagues. What's your number 4, Soul?
God of War, 2018. I'm not really gonna talk about it too much because I feel like everything that has been said has already been said. But it's like I love Norse mythology, so like this was like really like just the playthrough. It was like a dream come true, man. And of course, just seeing what they were able to do with Kratos, character wise, I think is still like really really cool. Turning essentially an anti-hero into someone that you can root for is not easy, but they landed on their feet, man, and they did it. So and of course there's the gameplay, which I really really enjoyed, and the Valkyries, man. The Valkyries are so fun.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hard as hell. The last one.
Yeah. I kind of, I saw that one move that they have where they kind of like grab Kratos' face and they like drag him against the floor a little bit.
Oh man, that's your introduction to her. You just touch the portal and bam, there's the fight.
Yeah,
Getting into it right now.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, hold up. Maybe I want that to happen to me.
Man, I can't wait to replay that game, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah, man.
For sure.
What's your number 4, Macho?
Yeah. So it's a quick point on because I actually don't have God of War in my top 10, but I did want to mention to go off Jay's point that the one entire game
Mm,
is
mm.
Interesting.
It's high up there, huh?
it's absolutely again it's back to the nature of just a fun video game, and it's how much of a great time I had. Just I mean, you guys touch on the music too, which is like one of like the biggest factors for me of like just being immersed into the world. But what really for me is just how you interact with the world,
Mm.
and that included just even like the really cool mechanic that just blew me away, pun intended, is the wind mechanic of
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
your different destinations. For
Yeah,
me, I thought that was like one of the most inventive ways of map without opening your map kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
makes sense.
So for me, yeah, that like that just kind of like made the entire experience feel memorable, and on top of Jin's story of like this internal battle that he's struggling with, and you got hints of that before, which is like a really funny part, and that I was thinking of because when I was playing The Last of Us Part Two, I was thinking like Ellie's having these consequences of killing people, right? Like maybe there's a part of her conscience that's just say like don't do this because it's wrong, right? Jin was having those moments when he was turning more into a ninja versus a samurai, where every
Hmm.
time he would kill people in the shadows, he would hear his uncle's teachings of like, we don't do that. That's not the samurai way. So that like really like kind of drove home for me like as far as like his character growth and what he doing what he needs to do versus what he was born like to kind
Hmm.
of uphold.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is like, and I can't wait to play. Yeah, I like next week when I actually move into my new place, I'm gonna just start playing Ghost of Tsushima because playing that on an OLED baby.
Ooh, that hit different.
Oh yeah, it's gonna hit different, boy. It's gonna hit different. So
Ooh.
I'm excited to play that one.
Nice, man. Um, yeah, from here on out, yeah, I'm just gonna mention because a lot of these that are we're gonna talk about. Not only we've talked about during the different episodes of the podcast a lot. So my number four is actually Spider-Man, and I was debating. I was very close to putting Miles Morales because of recency effect. Because I haven't played Spider-Man in a while, and I played Miles Morales the most recent one. But y'all made some good points earlier of how that game tackled different like Mary Jane, the way they gave her the personality that she had, and actually, for me, Mary Jane clicked. For a lot of people, Mary Jane was kind of like the boring parts of the game. For me, I actually enjoyed the investigating, the detective work, all that, hiding in the museum and stalking and like writing down your pieces. Not that you actually wrote it down, she wrote it down because of story. The different villains that I love it when a game introduces you like a gauntlet of like already like a group of villains that you'll have to tackle one each like at a time. I loved about Resident Evil 4, not 4, 8, how you're introduced to the villains and then you have to tackle each one. Um, the performance by Jury, incredible, incredible. I agree. I haven't thought about what my top number one Spider-Man is, but he's definitely up in the Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man. Um, em- Emotional as hell. It both that last one with Doc Ock and the scene with Aunt May, the phenomenal scenes.
Oh
Love both of them.
man, oh
The
man.
the the way he's
You
revealing, and then
had
she's
to
like,
you
"I
had to
know,
mention not me. You had to mention not me.
bro." The way that she's like, "I knew." Like I knew it was you. It's like, man, why are you doing this to me? You, you
Yeah.
know, when you're a kid and you cry like, ah, ah, you know, ball over here throwing some hands in the air. Like, come on. Um, but yeah, man. We all know this game is amazing. But yeah, that's my number one. Now to the top three, gentlemen. What's your number three, Soul?
Man, I'm fucking up in, in Dying Light, man. Oh man. Also,
I heard this silent but sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Same.
because I just exploded well, I exploded one zombie in a room full of zombies, and then the second one who had like a gas tank on his back exploded at the same time. So now I'm just attracting all of these other zombies into this place that I'm supposed to be in for a mission. Oh man.
Yikes.
Also, I gotta make this point really quick. This man, the main character's name is Kyle Crane. Man, how fucking boring? How fucking boring can you be, man? Like, come on. That's so.
Hey,
that's
man.
that's so 2014 white protagonist name right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Joe Stone. John
honestly,
Smith.
Joe Stone.
yeah, yeah. All right, so where were you? Three?
Number three.
Three. Slide two, man. You guys know I love this game, so I'm not gonna say too much about it.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but just
Same here.
but it's honestly like one of like the like man, story doesn't get and the characters don't get talked about enough, man. That it's a really
Is there
damn
another
good
big-
story.
Is there another big-eared fella here as well?
Another what?
Another big-eared lady? Or nothing here?
No, but there's a fox, man. There's a fox.
Okay.
We ain't gotta get into that, but there's a fox.
Man, what does the fox say though?
She says my name is Caminita Montoya Fox. That's what she says. That's what she says.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, the banter between her and Sly were at their peak in this game. This was really when they honed in on like what they wanted, the future of this series to be gameplay wise. They kind of shifted into a more like hub based sort of mission style of gameplay versus the more linear, just like straight up platforming that the first game did. There's they cleaned up the kind of the comic book art style cutscenes in this one, and it looked way better. Again, the story is really good. What they were doing here when this theme of sort of when you let your ego kind of like take over to a point where you kind of like forget about the people who have helped you along your path. And this idea of like the what's the word I'm looking for, the undesirable kind of going after the unattainable, and these underdogs really chewing off more than what they could chew, or biting off more than what they can chew, and facing the consequences for that. Like they face real fucking consequences for believing that they are untouchable. And the first game they had all the luck in the world. They're punching above their weight, and in the second game they kind of get punched back. And it's a really cool story, and the characters as well, man. It's a game to this day, man, that I really look back on, and in terms of like my writing and what I'm doing, like I still look at and kind of see like how they did certain things and whatnot. But yeah, I absolutely adore this game. Yeah, what about you guys? Where are you guys at with number 3?
Number 3 for me is Infamous 2.
Nice, man.
Infamous 2 I wasn't like really so interested in the first one just because it felt so muted, but my friend let me borrow it so I could finally try it out, and I actually really liked the game. But it wasn't until really Infamous 2 where like it was like, alright, this is a series I can just absolutely fall in love with. The environment of New Marais kind of had like a New Orleans spin, or like kind of style to it, but just the colors of the entire environment, how much fun it was to explore was great. I just love what they did with Cole McGrath and kind of like the dichotomy of the decisions you'd be making, and how not only that affected the story and the ending, but it also affected what kind of powers you got. I feel like that's one of the most unique superhero games out there, and it got a love and praise, but I feel like it could definitely be revitalized again, whether through like a remastered collection or something on PS5. It absolutely deserves it. Again, there's nothing else like Infamous 2 out there, where not only is your story decisions are affecting the story of the game, but also your gameplay. So having fire or ice and how much of a difference it actually makes when you're playing the game It's incredible. And also Infamous 2 had that amazing, I mean amazing Halloween DLC with the vampires. I think it's called Festival of
Festival of the
Blood.
Night. Festival of Blood, yeah.
That was just super cool, man. Yeah. That Infamous 2 absolutely comes in at number 3.
Nice. Walt, what about you?
Well, now we're getting into obvious territory, you know, for me at least, because again, I considered. This is the thing. I considered putting Infamous 2 on number 3, right? But
Ooh.
I'd be lying to myself because even though it's in my top 3 PlayStation exclusives, I haven't played it in so long, and I don't remember much of what I enjoyed. Even though I know logically what I enjoyed, I don't have the like, oh yeah, this was fun. It's in number 3 once I replay it probably. If not number 4, it's definitely top 5. But you know, you touched upon it. It was either Infamous 2, and now I have put God of War. And you mentioned God of War. It's getting tough for me because the most recent games, you know, are the ones that I have the most, you know, the most recent in my mind. You know, none of the Slides, none of the Ratchets, only Rift Apart, and Rift Apart is not in my top 10. Not probably top 15. Not that it's bad, it's a great game. Don't kill me. God of War 2018. And for the reasons you mentioned, and dude, it was very unexpected. For me, God of War, I did not expect literally anything that they did in that game. And I fell so in love with absolutely every character. Even Modi and Magni, like, even as little of a role that they had, they were interesting in some regard. The little Easter eggs that they put, the references that they put, the sequence. I think that what elevated me right now, because I haven't played Infamous 2 in a while, which I do plan on picking up my PS3 back from the shelf and hooking that up and play some good old PS3 games.
Oh yeah.
I do think that what elevated God of War in this case, because I remember it so vividly, is the scene and is the sequence of you getting your Blades of Chaos back. The entire sequence. The whole game is an entire sequence. It's a one shot. But that whole chunk, that little chunk of you getting told that only, you know, XY can get this item, and Kratos, you see Kratos realize, oh, then I have to go back home, and you're like, what does he mean? Instantly, as soon as I said, what does he? Oh, oh shit! And that whole sequence just starts, and you see Athena and the dialogue that they exchange and the gravitas of that scene was amazing.
Yeah, it was
that's
it
my
was
number
perfect.
3.
Yeah.
It is exactly. It's perfect. It's perfect. That game, and I agree. There are sections of that game that I was like, okay, I'm enjoying it, but it's getting a bit slow. But I enjoyed it. Number 3, God of War 2018. The revitalization of Kratos. Interestingly enough. But yeah, top 2. Number 2. Jay, what's your number 2?
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, that's right. That's
Wow.
right. That's right, motherfuckers.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Man, this man's simping. He is simping. He just wants to. He likes the redheads.
I just saw, as soon as you said, that's right, motherfuckers, I saw Dave Chappelle just scratching his neck. That's right, motherfuckers.
That's right. Y'all
Dust all over your face.
y'all gonna get this to work right now, man. Listen.
Hey, man, I respect that.
Listen, this is a great fucking game, specifically because of like okay, yeah, people can have their opinions, man, but like it like when people say that this game has a bad story, I'm like,
Nah, they're capping.
Specifically like learning about what happened to this world, why the world is the way it is, the purpose of the machines, right? It's not this whole thing of like, oh, we just have, you know, robotic machines because it's cool, right? There's a specific reason and purpose that they serve, you know, in terms of maintaining the planet and why they're here. learning about why or who Elizabeth Sobek is and Aloy's connection to her, who and what Aloy actually is. Specifically, the most mind-blowing thing to me is why the world reverted back to a tribal sort of, society or whatever, and that's specifically because of the asshole Ted Faro, the guy who created, or responsible for the Faro robots in the first place. He didn't want to, the future generations to learn about his mistake, about what he did. So and this whole idea of Elizabeth Sobek and the Zero Dawn Initiative and whatever, they all had these like different departments, right? And one of Hades and Hephaestus, all these different programs, and then one of them was a program called Apollo. And this was specifically where all of human history's knowledge, history, culture, art, religion, language, whatever, spanning the entire history of the planet Earth was all put into this one program. And Ted Faro, his reasoning was, hey, we would be essentially giving future generations, sort of this problem. They would know about what we did and whatnot, and we can't let that happen. That we would essentially be giving them the disease so they could just repeat our mistake again. That was his whole reasoning. Obviously he just didn't want them to find out that he's the man responsible for essentially the extinction of the entire human race. So what he does is he ends up erasing the entirety of Apollo. All thousands of, probably millions of years of culture, language, art, history, whatever, just gone at the snap of a finger. And then he goes on to suffocate all the people from that project in that room. And it was just this incredible moment of like, okay, that explains why we're in this tribal setting, why all these people, are living the way that they do, right? And they have no knowledge of, the people who came before them. Aside from calling them, the old ones and, stuff of that nature. And it was just such a cool moment. And the game is littered with explanations like that. But then it does this really cool thing of like, okay, once you learn about, Project Zero Dawn and what that is, now that opens the door for 10 other questions. And now the next big mission is like, okay, now you get more answers, but then it's like, okay, now I have even more questions, right? And it keeps doing that until you reach the end, with Aloy finally meeting Elizabeth. And I guess what I'm just trying to say is that like this game did a really good job of like presenting a world that on paper probably should have never worked, probably doesn't make sense, but at the end of the day, explaining it in a way that, I came away from it thinking, oh yeah, this was really, really well done. So yeah, and I probably wouldn't feel as strongly about this game if it wasn't for all that stuff. Obviously the combat is great. It's fun. I'm a sucker for bow and arrow combat. Even in this game, right? You in Dying Light, right? You have guns and a bunch of melee stuff, but I'll always go back to the bow and arrow because I just love that weapon for whatever reason. But the story itself, like I don't feel as strongly about like the characters. Like I don't care for a lot of the characters. I don't remember a lot of the side quests, although the Frozen Wilds is a lot better in that regard. But what I'm saying is that like I wouldn't feel strongly about this game if it wasn't for those revelations, about finding out about Gaia Prime, Project Zero Dawn, how fucked up it was, Zero Dawn, this whole idea of General Hannes or whatever his name was. He was like, Project Zero Dawn is essentially putting a gun in the hands of every single civilian and telling them to go out there and fight, thinking that that we would have a chance, but realistically this is just a front to give the people who are working on Project Zero Dawn enough time to actually finish the project. So really, he's just throwing civilians out into a meat grinder, telling them that, oh no, like this is the good for your country, like we're actually cutting down some of these robots numbers down, when in reality, no, you guys are just out there to buy us time to actually finish this project. And how fucked up that is to think about. Like again, like learning about all this stuff is so fascinating, and it works, it makes sense. So yeah, Zero Dawn is really cool, and of course the biomes, exploring all that stuff, it was fun. Again, I have my gripes with the game that I hope is rectified in Forbidden West, but it's honestly one of the coolest like stories I've ever gotten to experience in a while.
You're making me want to replay it on my OLED.
Yeah,
No,
it's worth it, man. It's worth a replay for sure,
dude. And you talk about Ted Faro, and for me, he was more of a villain than the tribe that you were opposing, whatever was. Obviously, Silence turned out to be the big manipulator, but the whole, that one sequence, that one scene that you get to experience through holographic messages that they left. The whole, when they're sitting around in the table and Ted Faro is explaining everything that he's done, and boom, suffocates everyone. All the leaders, essentially, all the ones responsible for everything that was supposed to restore Earth. Which, it's interesting how you see all these games tackle the same kind of premise of Earth being doomed by humans, but it's nice when they put a spin on it, and they do Horizon, and they Returnal, and or Dead Space even, where Dead Space essentially is, you never get to like directly go to Earth, but the idea is still there, where Earth was just stripped out of resources and humanity was forced to go into space and look for food, resources, whatever it may be. Fascinating stuff. Good number 2. Oh, Macho, you're number 2. It's been odd, because we'd said first party, and it's odd to hear Macho not talk about a Final Fantasy game. So it's to be expected because it's only first party games. But what's your number 2, Macho?
Yeah, trust me, man. If it wasn't first party, Kingdom Hearts 2 would be on here. Final Fantasy 7, 7 remake, yeah, they'll all be on here because those are the goats.
In your heart.
Those are the goats. But no, but it was interesting, Rinko, doing first party stuff, because it made me really think of like
it really is.
the games I really enjoy, and it kind of like it really put it into a nice broad scope of like what is my favorite, or who is my favorite rather, PlayStation developer. And if you look by my list, you can tell like who it is, and number 2 kind of solidifies that with it being Sly 2.
Yeah, Sucker Punch.
Yep, Sucker Punch has the most games on my list, being Ghost of Tsushima, Infamous 2, and Sly 2, and them being so high. And it goes back to what I was thinking before, why I shall always trust in Sucker Punch to just make a fun ass game. And Sly 2 is just the epitome of that. I mean, Sly 1 obviously I played, and that just sticks near and dear to my heart. But Sly 2 is the one that I just remember seeing in a store and flipping the fuck out that there was a sequel to Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
And just actually begging. It was the same thing in Kingdom Hearts 2, where like I saw it in the store and I begged my dad, please, can we bring this home? Please. Sly 2 is that other game where I saw in the store and I was like, I can't, please, I'll do chores for a week. I'll do what I can to get this game in my PlayStation 2 right now. And Sly 2 just hit on all fronts when it came to the characters, the set pieces, just that kind of the open-ended feel of just either taking Murray, Bentley, or Sly on a mission.
Yeah.
And kind of like what it did for Bentley too, because I feel like you don't really get characters in a wheelchair, let alone play as them. Yeah. And it just hit the nail on the head with Bentley, just like him placing bombs around enemies and sneaking up on them and everything. Like, it's super cool, like with the inventive like ways that you could play as Bentley, and not only just Bentley but Sly and Murray, and how they kind of just all benefit each other. And not only do they have like their own separate missions, but they have co-op missions, not like play with someone else, but like missions with both of them or all three of them in one mission. And how epic that just felt. it really is kind of like the old saying, the whole gang is here, and it just went into a spades, and yeah, I feel like what they did with it was just fantastic. Yeah, so Sly 2 is my number two.
Nice.
Nice, man. Oh, this is pretty obvious. My number two, Fat Princess.
Oh, really?
No, that's Cap.
Yeah, my man
that's
likes
Cap.
them thick.
Oh yeah.
I took the liberty of including both Last of Us, and that is because I've come to realize just how much it has worked for me to envision it, because it is essentially one full story, two completely different games in some way, but it's still the same story. Uh, I had up until The Last of Us, I had never played a narrative experience like it. It was after The Last of Us for PlayStation 3 where I actually started like delving more into story, forward games. But before that, it was just, oh, that looks cool, let me buy it. No, after Last of Us, I like actually like gave thought to what kinds of narrative experiences I wanted, and that's where I started, delving more into JRPGs, more story-centric games.
Oh wow,
If
that's
it
cool.
wasn't if it wasn't for The Last of Us, I wouldn't have picked up Final Fantasy X. If it wasn't for The Last of Us, I wouldn't have picked out the many narrative experiences I had after that, like center on that. So not only does it mean that much to me, but including both of them makes sense for me because for me, Ellie is like one of the best written characters in like a video game, and because I am taking both into account, that's why I consider it that way. Because the growth or downfall, if you want to see it that way, because of the actions she takes in Last of Us 2, of her is just so tragic, but it's so it feels so real. The way that she reacts to certain situations, the way that the characters react to every situations, and how that game was so good at making you feel hopeless. Even if it's a linear story, Last of Us one specifically moments like, Tess succumbing to her wounds and her sacrificing herself for the better for Joel and Ellie to escape, or moments like you meeting the brothers in the city that we're escaping, and ultimately one of them
Yeah,
gets infected.
Sam and Henry. Yeah.
Sam and Henry, bro. The way that his big bro, he doesn't know what to do. He's panicking. He sees how everything from that man's life was over as soon as he had to shoot his little brother and take his own life. That the way that game made me feel just in general, all the way through Last of Us 2. To this day, like in my mind, I'm like, I want to replay Last of Us 2, but it takes so much mental energy because I got so invested, and I get so invested in games that I need like a moment, But yeah, for this one, I'm putting both of them as one continuous story. Uh, I really, in terms of many things, one excels over the other, but I couldn't not put both of them as just one continuous story. But yeah, that's my number two. Now, to the number ones. Jay, what is your number one?
The Last of Us Part 2.
Woo!
We,
Yes, sir!
we talked about gameplay earlier, so I won't get into that. But for me, no other game like did this thing where I felt like I had to like actually I had this like self-reflective moment playing this game where like I hated Abby. Even like understanding what she did, like I hated her. And I think what this game did more than anything for me was we talked about empathy early on, but
Yeah.
it made me ask myself, like like this game was such a roller coaster for me, right? Because I was just like, I didn't know what to think for the longest time. And then once you finally put the control down and it's over, then you kind of get a chance to finally think about it. And I think for me, like I had to ask myself, like, at what point do I can at what point is like, what is the line for me, right? Like Ellie obviously had, a certain line that you can't that you can finally, forgive someone. And, for me, I was asking the same thing. Like, okay, at what point can, despite doing something absolutely, horrible, can a person come back from that? Can a person ever truly come back from that? And, after playing the entire game, I finally came to an answer. And, I came to an answer and then, thought, yes, like, for me personally, yeah, after seeing everything that, me and Abby went through together, seeing everything that she went through, it turns out that even after crossing that line, you can still come back through it. And that doesn't mean that I forgive her, right? That doesn't mean that I'm okay with what she did, or, I forgive her or completely admonish her of her sins and whatnot. That just means that, I understand her, I empathize with her, I accept what she did. And yeah, I can come to an understanding with her. Again, that doesn't mean I forgive her, but I can come to an understanding. And that was tough, man. That was a realization, or a question that an answer to a question that I had to wait over 30 hours to come and find out for myself, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's something that I don't think I've ever really had with a game do to me before.
It sounds very much you had a situation similar to how Katara, when she found out who her mom's killer was, and she told Aang, like, I don't think I'll forgive him. I don't think I ever will. And she looks at Zuko and she's like, but I think I'm ready to forgive you. I'm starting to forgive you. And it very much is that, where maybe the core of what inspired that reflection in you, you won't necessarily come into terms of applying what you learn on it, but you acknowledge, but you're ready to apply it on other things, and it made you reflect, and that's amazing. That's what you when you started talking about, can you forgive someone? Can someone come back from that line? You literally, like, I thought just about the what was the name of that Raiders? The Raiders, whoever killed the water tribe, the South Water tribe.
Yeah.
And the mom and whatnot.
Yeah,
Good shit. What about you, Macho? Your number one. That's not Final Fantasy.
Really quickly, we had a message in chat saying, do we think Last of Us 1 or 2, the story, which one do we think is better? And, like, obviously, story in part 1 is definitely more concise.
Agree.
But it's purely because, and I love The Last of Us 1, but purely because of what part 2 did to me emotionally, and that kind of gauntlet and roller coaster that it put me through, right? Like, I felt a wide range of emotions, and just again, it's something that I really haven't really experienced in a game before. So I don't know if I could just say that one is better than the other, because I love them both, but part 2 definitely made some emotions come out that part 1 didn't do. I guess that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I agree with that notion, and I agree with the fact that one was more concise, and it's because they focused on two things, and that's Joel and Ellie. Their experience, their journey, their coming together, their experience of the world, their relationship growing, sometimes falling, sometimes again standing up, growing, and you seeing just one same journey, two different perspectives. While in The Last of Us 2, you have the infamous idea of switching on the fly, with the character, like how Macho just experienced. And a lot of people did not like that. A lot of people did not like the fact that, oh, you're gonna make me play as her. A lot of people saw that as like a challenge, or as like, oh, let's see if you can play as the villain now or whatever. They're missing the point. I agree with Soul. It's about you putting yourself in the shoes of that one person that hurt you, and for one moment consider that, and that's all it does. It's phenomenal. There's a lot more into that, but yeah. Uh, but I would say that's why I included both because I just see it all as one continuous story. But I see what the person, I mean, it makes sense. They're both different stories in and of itself. But I agree with Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really answer yet because I haven't finished it, and
Yeah,
despite knowing the spoilers,
Yeah.
Yeah, you need context for that.
yeah, knowing some details about that, but still, like I said, context is everything. So that's why like I didn't really give Dina too much shit when I first saw the spoilers and everything and kind of like seeing what was
man.
going on. But now I'm playing it, and yeah, my feelings really haven't changed on that. But we'll see if that changes as I progress in the story.
Maybe.
So that kind of ties into my number one, actually. My number one is The Last of Us.
Wow. Okay.
My number one is absolutely The Last of Us. Never have I experienced a story like this. It's not new. It's not like an original story or by any case of imagination, but what it does with the characters, it's one of those games where every character to me is memorable to the point where like I could just list them off the top of my head and remember the exact feelings and moments that I have with those characters. Notably, Sam and Henry. That revelation of when Henry finds out that his little brother got bit and he's turning, and his reaction just completely caught me off guard. I thought it was gonna be one of those moments where Joel's gonna have to take the gun from him and they're gonna have to fight and there's gonna be this crazy, battle. This dude just, if the entire screen just flips on the head, just points the gun himself and shoots and the screen goes black.
Phenomenal.
It's like I can't like it's one of those moments where I literally gasped because I just could not believe what just happened, and then you jump right into David and that whole situation with Ellie, which was fucking crazy, dude. And just her kind of like her going into the deep well where she had to defend herself. And like again, what that game put me through emotionally was just like nothing I ever experienced before. On top of gameplay that, while it wasn't the best, it was still it made sense and it tied in with the entire game itself just so well. And playing it on Grounded is something I highly recommend. Like I replayed it last year, I believe it was on Grounded, and it was like one of those things where, like while it's claimed as like being a really hard mode, it just it all fits together and it makes sense for like kind of like the tone of the game and everything. I feel like it's one of the best like harder quote unquote difficulties ever played in a video game. And of course I'm gonna give it points now and forever for having a perfect ending. Just the ambiguous Ellie's just eyes looks like she's swelling up, but also like she kind of understands and why Joel is like lying to her, and then her response just okay. Like she's willing to go with it without knowing the full truth and what that can lead to and everything. And Last of Us it's for me it's still like one of the best PlayStation first party games ever made. And I'll stand by that completely. On top of some banger ass multiplayer, bro. Factions was the shit, man. It was so much fun.
Oh man, I can't wait for their version of Last of Us 2 Factions. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, seriously.
And to that point, before I go to my number one, to add to that, now that I think about it, I hadn't thought about it, but I'm gonna simmer on it more later. But the fact that whole situation with David and how Joel had to step in to stop her from like going on a path that was not gonna be pretty. It very much shows just how much Joel was and we know right now, it was such a massive part of Ellie's life in Last of Us 2. Because who's there to check up on her? Why is she doing all these things? Joel's not there to like remind her, yo, like you have to stop, like like physically stop her. Like no, this isn't you. There's no one to check up on her. So for me, it makes sense that in The Last of Us 1 we got a glimpse of what Ellie would later on become in Last of Us 2. It's just fascinating to think about that.
Yeah, that's why Last of Us 1 is just like has a special place in my heart for like
Oh,
what it
absolutely,
does. Because
absolutely.
like as I said before, one of the reasons why Last of Us 2 just wasn't connecting with me as much, and why I can't really connect, why like I just don't really have this affinity for Jesse or Dina
Hmm.
all that much, because what The Last of Us 1 was to me was Joel and Ellie.
Hmm.
That is
Yeah,
the soul of the franchise to me. So Last of Us 2 has
absolutely.
challenged me in that sense of like saying like no, it's this story is more than that, which is something that's hard for me to really accept because The Last of Us
Yeah.
1 left a really big impression on me. I mean, it's my number one for a reason. So
No, and the idea of that you hit the nail on the head. Everyone matters, but and it challenges you to consider that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now my number one, not a first party. Only reason why it's number one, because never in my life had I played a game that I had played to the point of I should have been burnt out, but I could have kept going. And at this point, if I play it, I'm numb to it, but not in a bad way. I'm like, I still enjoy it, but it doesn't hit like the first time. The characters, the story, nothing out of the ordinary. But it just it it's an experience more than it is talking about the quality of the game. Not to say that the game is bad, but number one for me will be for now until probably Elden Ring. I don't know. Is Persona 5, and the reason why this game is up here is because when I picked up this game, literally, I had my gamer mind that I have now. I knew what games were. I knew what a narrative experience was. I knew, but I had no idea what Persona was. And the fact that a game was able to grab me for hundreds and hundreds of hours to the point where now I probably have like 400 hours invested into that game, cumulatively between Persona 5 and Royal. It When a game can do that, that game is up in my top 10 already. And it's not like many people play, let's say, Warzone or Apex, and they get frustrated, but they keep playing it. No, it's not that kind of replayability. It's replayability that it's still endearing to me. I still enjoy it. I like revisiting. It's like I have a second family, and I'm just seeing them every now and then. The Phantom Thieves and everyone in that world. Every single like side character, some better than others, but not to say that those others were bad per se. Um, Nothing of this game stands out in the way that Last of Us does in terms of story. It's a pretty straightforward story with very, straightforward themes. There's more to it, but it's not to the depth that Last of Us explored them. But for me, it was the fact that I had the fun that I had. It took what I had from Gravity Rush, that fun element, and the story element, and everything was just balanced, like all things should be. You know what I mean? That game, that game did a Thanos on me. I saw that blade being, balanced on that finger. I was like, yes, this is balance, and it's just that Persona 5 for me is the perfect balance of everything for me. While Last of Us, as impactful that it was, I do admit that the gameplay, there wasn't anything special to it. So you already have a one is outweighing the other. But in this case, everything just me being a fan of turn-based more than I am of real-time, like actual gameplay, like battling. Uh, that was a plus to it. So yeah, uh, there's more I can talk about it, but we'd be here for 9 hours. But yeah, Persona 5 is my number one.
Definitely.
Not a first party, but
Yeah.
if you disagree, listener, fuck you. You know?
Whoa, Jesus. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would have
man.
been my number one if this wasn't first party as well.
First
Right.
part, yeah, but it let room for nuances in the list because there were a lot of differences. We didn't get too similar until like maybe the top five, but like our lists were very much different all the way through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's that literally took up the entire podcast. So, really quickly, let's talk about. You guys want to talk about the Tsushima standalone thing?
I think there's not really much other than the fact that it's going to be supported like afterwards. I think the big update is like in September, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I think this is when I'll jump into it, because it does look really cool. So yeah, I'm down to
I
definitely.
say DualShock and Sense game nights. We hit up some Legends multiplayer because I haven't played it, and I want to.
Yeah, for sure,
Hey man, I'm down. I'm down.
for
Oh yeah.
sure.
And we got multiplayer, Elden Ring multiplayer. That's a thing. That'll be a thing. We have to do that, guys. We have to do Elden Ring multiplayer at some point.
Hell yeah.
And lastly, Macho, are there any specific indies that you wanted to talk about from the PS indies that they
sure.
showed off this week?
Yeah. So let me bring up the blog actually, because what they did is that PlayStation did their nice regular round of like, here are like the indies coming to PlayStation, and they highlighted like I think 7 different ones, and some of them were actually really prominent, and a couple that I didn't really notice before or like cared about. I'm actually gonna try out. One of the two. Let me see what they got. So one of them is called Oxenfree 2, which I'm sure like you guys have probably heard of Oxenfree.
Yeah.
Yeah, played it.
Is it? Yeah, it's indie darling. It's actually on sale on PSN for like $3.50. So I'm definitely gonna pick it up and give it a go because it looks really cool. So Oxenfree 2 is coming to PlayStation 4 and 5. This like potion crafting cute game called Witchwood is coming to the console as well. That looks really cool. A Platinum Games indie game is coming called Soul Cresta.
I saw that.
You saw that? I was like, when does Platinum Games have the time for anything? Where's Bayonetta 2 at, first of all?
Man. Oh man. This is where this is their passion project, man.
Is their other passion? Oh man, they have like at least 10 passion projects coming.
Oh, man.
They're all passion projects.
Come on, why are we slandering? Why are we slandering them, man? Come on.
Man, until they give me Bayonetta 3, they get all the slander right.
Hey man, it's on the way supposedly.
Yeah, Kamiya, don't block me on Twitter. I swear, I'm just messing with you.
Hey man, that's a legend right there. You better watch your mouth, man.
Hey.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Axiom Verge 2 is also coming. It's another popular Metroidvania indie. That one I have to try out. Still, my friend couldn't recommend it. It's fun. Okay, yeah, I gotta try it out. Hollow Knight's still like one of the ones that's like super hard to beat for me, but
bro, that one's still like probably my top 2 Metroidvanias, honestly.
Yeah, Axiom Verge.
No, Hollow Knight.
Oh yeah. But if Axiom Verge 2 looks to like kind of spin things up a little bit, where they have like dimension swapping, I think it is. So that'd be really cool to kind of have on there. Another one is like a scenic sort of another kind of cute top-down indie game called A Short Hike. I think is more just for like one of those games that's like very chill, kind of like Stardew or anything like that.
They showed
with the bird or something.
Yeah, I think so.
They showed Carry On. That's coming to PlayStation.
Yep, yeah, which is another big one. That one got some good praise too.
Yeah.
Where you instead of playing the hero, you play as a monster, which sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
And of course, the GOAT of 2020, making its way to PS4 and PS5, Hades. I am double dipping. I'm picking that up on physical for sure, just to have it and play it on PS5 at 4K with the. It actually does have DualSense capabilities too, so.
Oh, I'm picking that up on PS5. And I have it on Switch. That's how I played it. And
Same.
Honestly, good experience. It's a great handheld experience, but, dude, 4K, hell yeah, bring it.
yeah, 4K on PS5, 60 frames, and of course the DualSense features. To me, that makes it a worthy of a double dip. So.
Hell yeah, man. Double dip.
Gotcha. Cool.
Shit. And question, guys, before we move forward, in the final biome with the Abyssal Scar, when it asks you to sink into the depths and you have to fall a big ledge, what does that mean? Is this the fight? Is this the boss fight?
You have to find out, bro.
Ah, fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Anyways, let's continue. Let's finish this. I don't.
Yeah, we ain't telling you shit, man. You gotta find out yourself. That's it.
Yeah, man.
Fuck you.
Any
Any more indies? Are those all the indies?
That was all,
No,
though.
that's it. So there's 7 indies. That's it.
7, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, all look a lot of fun and look like they bring something different to the table. So yeah, thank you PlayStation for supporting indies.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Um, really quickly, you guys talked about it last time, but what was your guys' thoughts on the sales figures that Jim Ryan put out for Returnal, Ratchet, Spider-Man, and MLB?
Specifically
Bunch of tons of
for
money, yeah.
specifically for Returnal. I mean, we didn't really go too much into it, but I think specifically for Returnal, I think that's very good. I expected it to sell a lot less than that, than the 560K that it did sell. So
Okay.
I'm happy to see that it did sell very well. Whether they call it like a mega hit, I guess it's up for debate, but
Sure.
regardless, I think a game like even like hitting a million is like incredible. Um, so yeah,
Absolutely.
what the kind of game Returnal is on top of the price that it's sold at, and how kind of a niche kind of game it is. Yeah, I'm very impressed by that.
What about
And
you, Will?
Spider-Man is Spider-Man, so
Yeah, yeah. And God, what was I found it interesting that what's his name, that it did 6.5, or at least what's his name, Persona recently, it was kind of announced in Sega's financial or fiscal results for fiscal year 2022, March 2022, I think. They put out a bunch of figures and whatever, and essentially the Persona series sold 400k, a total of 400k copies sold between the months of April, May, and June of this year. So that's, taking into account, copies of Royal, Strikers, obviously, and probably some more of Golden on Steam. And so I was just comparing that 400k across, multiple different platforms, across multiple games as well, and then comparing that to Returnal doing 560 in, however many months that it was out. What, 2 months, 3 months
yeah, it
Yeah.
came out in April, so right, so yeah.
on a new platform, with way less of an install base than, all the other PC, PS4, and Switch combined, and PS5 as well. So like, I don't know. I was looking at that. I was just kind of like, that's kind of interesting. Like I don't think
Yeah.
560. Yeah, on paper it definitely like seems pretty low, but for me, like first of all, it's a new IP on a new platform, only on that one platform, $70 as well, right? Like I wasn't expecting it to sell gangbusters, but 560 is like, it's at least Sony obviously feels differently, right? They probably just view it as a success. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't call it a mega hit, right? So for them, I'm guessing for them it was a hit financially, maybe, who knows. And then again, like now that these games are $70, maybe they don't have to sell like 5 million copies just to make a profit or whatever. Like maybe you can sell a little bit less, and you make up for it with these games costing more up front. So yeah, maybe that's
Right. I
yeah.
don't know if the production value is much higher, therefore they do need to still sell the same figures. But
Yeah,
yeah, it
true.
would make sense. It depends. I guess in this case, literally a case by case, depending on how how expensive it was to make the game.
Yeah, that's a big
But
factor.
right. But I don't know. Sony is very cut and dry with their games, and if it doesn't, we saw with Days Gone. If it wasn't it, wasn't it? And we don't. I don't really know if they're gauging sales or if they're gauging critical acclaim. I don't. It's a very case on case, case by case situation.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say though that I hope this becomes a trend for them, in the future, right? Because we know how, for instance, Nintendo is so upfront with how well their games sell for good reason, right? Because they sell like fucking gangbusters, every single one of them.
Yep.
Even the ones that they re-release for the third time, you know, on another platform. But this was because I feel like they've kind of stopped, you know, giving hard sales figures aside from like, you know, the ones that do really good, like The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost. Like they'll be shouting from the rooftops, you know, for those. But I thought it was really interesting that, you know, they, you know, talked about Ratchet and MLB and, you know, Returnal, right? Because those are, you know, even though some of those sold over 1 million, like they, on paper, they're not like sexy numbers, but regardless, the transparency is appreciated.
That makes sense.
Definitely.
100%.
Okay. We can probably. I wanted to look up this list really quick of the top 100 games that are being played on PlayStation right now. I'm not gonna read all 100 because that would take a minute. That would take a hot minute. But I wanted to read, I think, like the top 30 at least. And also, this is funny. So number 100 on this list is Dreams. So
Wow.
it just got in there. It just got in there.
Yeah, how's that dream? So you're into any Avatar
True.
fan projects?
I have not played it since the podcast I talked about it.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
that's also got into me not being in the mood to really play anything.
But in dreams you could play everything. What are you talking about?
No, I'm good, man.
This man's spitting.
Okay. So for the month of July 2021, I'm just gonna read the top 30 because I think it's interesting.
Okay.
So Call of Duty Modern Warfare was number 1.
Nah.
GTA 5, Black Ops Cold War, FIFA 21, Destiny 2, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Dead by Daylight, Genshin Impact at number 9, and Rocket League at number 10. So basically the usual suspects, the games that you would expect to be at the top 10.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect Rocket League for some reason. That was the only one that was like, oh,
I didn't expect
Cool.
Yeah.
Genshin Impact, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
I didn't expect Final 14 to not be in that top 10. What the
Now hold on.
going on there?
Now hold on. It's funny you say that.
fuck is going on there?
It's funny you say that because number 11 is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Number 12.
Oh, this has been baiting me.
No, here we go. Here we go. Number 12 is Final Fantasy 14.
Hey, let's go!
There you go, bud.
My fellow weebs, we in there.
Yeah, all that free advertisement you doing on the podcast is working, man. Then 13, A Plague Tale: Innocence. 14,
Oh.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. 15, Red Dead Redemption 2. 16 is Rainbow Six Siege. 17, Minecraft. 18, F1 2021. 19, NBA 2K21. 20, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. 21 is Overwatch. Number 22 is Demon's Souls. Number 23
Wow.
is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay.
Number 24 is Returnal. Number 25
Very nice.
is Ghost of Tsushima. Number 26 is Miles Morales. Number 27 is Mass Effect. Number 28 is Rust. 29 is Elder Scrolls Online. And number 30 is Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So I thought it was interesting. Top 30. And
Wow,
then
that's a nice set of first party and some PlayStation exclusives there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
It's almost like exclusives matter. Wow.
I'm happy to see Demon's Souls and Returnal in the top 30 at least.
Yeah, that's actually surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether people finish Returnal is a whole other subject.
I died, so I just died. Like right now. I despise this one enemy that's like a fucking specter. Looks like a genie that's in the depths. It's so aggressive. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised with those obviously the top 10 are kind of like a little bit just with like Call of
I don't
Duty
know
and-
about Rocket League. That wasn't pretty tough for me. Like I'm surprised that that game is still so. I'm
Popular,
glad it
yeah.
is. Yeah, I'm glad it is because it's a very fun game, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
Well, it's also
I
because
expected like
it's also
what?
think of it like the esports part of it too. That because
Oh, that's true.
Rocket League
That's
is
true.
huge in esports along with like Overwatch
true.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Overwatch is not there.
No, it was there, right?
Yeah, it was.
It was
Was
there,
it?
right?
Yeah.
What number?
Let's see. Number 21.
Okay, still kicking. Nice. I'm glad. I'm glad. Although it's I get mad playing it, but I love the game. To death.
You guys, really quickly, we'll end off on this. You guys saw that Jake Paul looking motherfucker in Street Fighter?
Oh god, I thought we were gonna skip over this one.
Man.
Dude, I actually watched that summer update too, and I like Street Fighter 5 a lot, and I kind of dip in and out whenever I can, but I sold it, and so I don't have it anymore. So I was looking for another reason to kind of pick it up, like the full champion
Hey,
completist or
Pick it
whatever
up for
it's gonna be.
Guile.
Nah, man. I saw Akira, and I was like, that looks. I saw Oro. I was like, yes, that's okay. That's I like that. But then I saw Jake Paul, and I was like, absolutely not. that killed all my hype to kind of get the game again and play it. I love what they're doing, like as far as like the saying that's the future of Street Fighter, I guess maybe as far as like kind of like so it feels like they're kind of like teasing a Street Fighter 6 character, which is what Jake Paul is here. Probably, maybe more or less, but that idea is really cool. But man, that character design is just ass. That is
You don't like the hair?
That is another blonde white guy in a Street Fighter game that I just was not like looking forward to seeing or being surprised by. Like any other original Street Fighter game character could have been in this game, and I'd have been like cool, but it had to be like the super generic looking dude. It looked like stars on his forearms they're bigger than his biceps for some reason. It's weird, man.
What about Cammy?
Cammy can get this work, man.
Hey, yo.
Hey, no.
She can get this work, man. She's the
What's
OG.
good?
She's
Hey,
the
that's
OG,
what's
man.
up.
Marvel's Capcom 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, she can get this work, man. But not Jake
Hey.
Paul. Jake Paul can go
Nah,
back into
fuck that shit.
can go
The
back
hell?
into the dumpster with that character design, man.
The hell going on here,
so,
man?
so you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Oh man, it's a crazy
all
world,
right,
man.
That's gonna
Game's
do
the
it for
truth.
the podcast. I want to thank you guys for watching, as always. I'm gonna get started with these outros, but first, want to remind you guys, the usual. Go ahead and like the podcast. Consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m., roughly 10:30 a.m., because shit happens.
Roughly 10:30 a.m.
roughly.
Love it.
I'm putting that in the tweet next time.
in the general vicinity,
More or less.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, so let's get started with these outros. Macho, you got anything going on this week?
Nothing much. Is just really getting ready for the move next week, the middle of next week. I got all the boxes packed, and I just gotta get the TV, make sure that OLED goes nice and precisely into the box that I bought it in, so that I can get to my next place in one piece and no crack in sight. I'm very nervous, but I think it could be done. Other than that, really just kind of playing through Last of Us Part 2. Chipping away Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and yeah.
Nice.
shit.
What about you, Walt?
Oh, probably. I don't know if I'll beat Returnal today. Maybe I died, but it wasn't. It didn't affect my pride. I still feel like I can carry on. So I'll be playing more Returnal today. get ready for my final test tomorrow. And aside from that, just get ready for the next semester and starting my senior year, and hopefully get this undergrad by next year. Hopefully, maybe by our next 100th or so episode, I'll be undergrad psychology thing. I don't know what to call myself. Just,
I feel like you should probably know that just in case, just in case you get asked about your profession.
Me, I'm like, I am a student.
I do something with this piece of paper.
What do I do? But aside from that, getting properly into Chrono Trigger and see how long it takes me to beat it. But I'm not rushing it. I'm taking my sweet time, just like I do with every JRPG. And I'll get back to you next episode and let you in on my thoughts about it, how far I get, depending. But yeah, aside from that, Catherine. Let's see which Catherine, and what Catherine I end up with.
And why Catherine?
And why Catherine, as my good old destroyer Drax would say. Oh, quick thing, just have to sing his praises. I want to express my respect and gratitude towards the trailer for Guardians that we got and Lady Hellbender. May you continue to bend hell, lady. But yeah, that's all there is. How about you, Soul?
Yeah, not too much for me. Probably. Honestly, I want to keep playing Dying Light, so I think that's probably gonna be what's happening this week. But yeah, besides that, not too much else really. It's gonna be slim pickings until Kina comes out. So I hope it doesn't get delayed again, man. There's only so many delays I can take. I think that's kind of what Macho was alluding to earlier. I feel the same way, man. I can only take so many. But yeah, man.
Yeah, slim pick your way to Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's on sale currently right now for $45, $30.
I ain't got the energy to do that. Yeah, man. Although Tifa, man, she may get me through it.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she will, man. I'm telling you right now. I'm playing right now.
Hey, yo. Woo! No cap. No. Woo!
I'll tell you right now, man. You're gonna be thanking me by the time you get to that game.
Yo.
She'll make you go Mario, Yahoo. Know what I mean?
Yo, horny, man. What the hell is going on, man?
Listen. That, as I told my fiance, I'm not that. I'm just Puerto Rican. That's it.
And with that, we are gonna end this podcast. Once again, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.